So this is a meeting of the Board of Directors of Abington Cam, the private corporation that runs the community access studio here in Abington, Mass. Tonight we're welcoming our newest director, Jessica Johnson, to her first meeting. We have Bob Malloy, who I see his microphone is off. He is our treasurer. Bob Kelly, who is our secretary. I can't see him here, and Peter Walters and myself. I'm Lisa Bezanson. And we have a few things to talk about tonight. Everybody has an agenda. The first, old and new business. We really don't have much right now. I'm going to reserve the right to go back to that one. The first thing we need to vote on is the approval of the February 11th minutes. Everybody should have those in their packet. There were just a couple items that maybe need to amend. The first one is that the name of the corporation is Abington Community Access and Media Inc. It's not the cable. So we just need to change that one word.
That's the January minute.
My February minutes that I have say that as well.
I have Abington Community on mine.
Community? Okay, well, we're good then. The second thing, I know there are a few versions of the minutes, and Bob Kelly has the official version of the minutes, so I just want to make sure that it makes note of the fact that in the really third paragraph down, we've always had the ability as a corporation to do Corey checks. Just now that we have our 501c3 status from the IRS, we can do them at no charge. It was $25 per person until we got the 501c3. So I just wanted to make a note of that.
The minutes I have, the actual minutes say the corporation should be able to have the fee waived.
Right.
That's the actual minute.
Yes, good, okay. All
So
right.
we won't be charged.
Yes, we won't be charged now that we have the 501c3. There's a little form we have to fill out and apply, but we won't be charged, as I understand it. The second thing is at the bottom of the first page, a general discussion ensued on the proposed budget for FY 2020, and it goes on to say that the consensus was that the funds in Abington Bank would be used rather than the annual fees received from the subscribers. So as we worked it out with the town manager, the funds in the Abington Bank are being used only until we are reimbursed by through the enterprise funds.
Yeah, but that was after February. So when these minutes were written, what they say is true. It's changed, I agree, but you can't change the minutes.
You can't change
well, I think if I could, the concern I had with that passage was a discussion on how the future revenue will be addressed now that revenue goes directly to the town of Abington is placed in an enterprise fund. I am 100% that is accurate. But the previous sentence, the funds in the Abington Bank will be used rather than annual fees received from the subscribers. That's really just a temporary, I just want comment added that really we are using the funds that are set in Abington Bank's checking account to pay, and then as now has been worked out, we are reimbursed for those funds for enterprise, from the enterprise. I just didn't know if there was any confusion.
Okay, Bob, maybe the confusion is the question I asked back then. The question was about the capital plan. How would it be funded? And that's the answer I got was it would be funded by the Abington Bank money rather than the fees from the customers.
Oh, pertaining to the capital fund.
So that's what it says in the beginning. It says, Mr. Kelly questioned how the 10-year capital plan would be funded.
I see.
A general discussion occurred, and the consensus was that the funds in the Abington Bank would be used rather than the fees from customers. So I'm talking about the capital plan.
I see.
And that's what the minutes say.
Okay.
I
Now, maybe I got
put forth that
annual
there is
fees.
no capital plan at this point. We're trying to sort those out. I think the long-term plan, which you're referring to, a 10-year capital plan, ultimately, any expenditures are coming from our savings or checking account.
Right,
That's really the point here.
yes. But I mean, the annual fee thing you mentioned is probably not the proper term. I can change that.
Franchise fees, yeah.
Okay, I can change that.
Quarterly franchise
So we
fee.
can amend that to franchise fees.
Okay, all right then. So that is the only thing I had on the February 11th minutes.
So then they're all set as amended then. If someone has a motion, I guess.
I
I
will make-
motion to approve the February 11 minutes.
As amended.
As
Second.
All those in favor, and we need to take a roll call vote.
Yes.
So Bob Malloy,
Aye.
Jessica Johnson,
Aye.
Peter Walters,
Aye.
and Bob Kelly,
Aye.
and myself, aye. So those are approved. Excuse my cough drop. Also on the agenda is an amendment to the January 14th minutes. And the version I have said cable access at the top. Does everybody have community access?
Yeah. Says, no, I have it crossed out.
I have crossed out too.
Yeah.
Same here.
Abington Community Access and Media, Inc. is the name of the corporation. And the one amendment to them is on the second page. It's my fifth paragraph down. Mr. Malloy proposed acceptance of the annual report will also direct that the financial statement we're changing will be written to critiques by Mr. Kelly and added when complete, seconded by Mr. Walters. The board accepted this in a unanimous vote. So the word written is being amended to critique. From my review of the recording of the meeting. Do we have a motion? Sorry.
So move.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And all those in favor? Mr. Bob Malloy,
Aye.
Jessica,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Bob Kelly,
Aye.
and myself, Lisa Bezanson, aye. So those are approved.
Lisa, I have my head down. Can you give me the who made the motion and seconded it again? It was Peter. Peter made the motion
Correct.
and Jessica second. Okay, thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the accountant's update. So I emailed Barry from KPM, and this is what he sent me back. The following is an update of the status of financial and tax matters for Abington Community Access and Media, Inc. Number one, the organization must submit reviewed financial statement with the 2017 and 18 Massachusetts Form PC. KPM can help the organization prepare a request for proposal and help with the selection of an independent CPA firm to perform the review. Number two, in 2019, the organization's review revenue exceeded $500,000, and the organization must submit an audited financial statement with the 2019 Massachusetts Form PC. KPM has submitted requests with the nonprofit organization's Public Charities Division asking for a one-time waiver of the requirement and allowing the organization to submit a reviewed financial statement. KPM has not received a response to our requests. Once a response is received, KPM can help the organization prepare a request for proposal and help with the selection of an independent CPA firm to perform the required service. Number three, the 2019 federal tax return is being prepared by KPM and will be sent to the organization within the next 2 weeks. And he also cleared up for me that the audit versus review is actually a requirement of the Attorney General's office. I had understood it to be a requirement of the IRS, but that is not the case. Are there any questions, comments?
I mentioned, Lisa, we had the review from 2017. I think this one around from James Coughlin. So that would be
A
done.
review. Oh, I thought you meant you had the Form PC. I don't remember what was in that.
It gets attached to the Form PC. It's needed to file it. If you have more than X dollars of receipts,
Mm-hmm.
and I found in these files his report, but I don't have the whole financial review report, but it exists. So I wrote you back and Barry, that we have 2017 done.
Okay. And that was by an accountant other than Jim Coughlin? He was the accountant at the time.
Yeah, Jim McCoughlin. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Jim
So
Coughlin did it.
It was, so it needs to be a review by somebody other than the corporate accountant, and that was Jim Coughlin at the time.
Okay, all right, maybe, I don't know. I wasn't around, but I just mentioned that I found a review report which might satisfy the requirement.
Okay, great. All right, so I will make sure I hook up with you. I know I've been trying to, things have come up, but I'll hook up with you and get that envelope back and make sure I scan it and send out to.
Well, all I have is 2 pieces of the report's more than 2 pages. I don't know where the rest of it is, but it was in one of these folders.
Oh, okay. All right. So are there other comments or concerns? Nothing.
Just maybe a clarification. I'm sorry, I'm not an accountant, so forgive me for asking maybe silly questions, but it seems as though we have to review 2017 and 2018 records by not our Cam or Abington Cam accounting. We either consult with or hire another accounting firm to review those preps, those tax returns that were done. In 2017, Mr. Coughlin may have been that accountant, so we may need to still identify another accountant for 2017 and 2018.
Yeah.
Just as a side note, I know you haven't got to it yet, but if it wasn't clear, 2019 have not been filed yet, which is still on schedule based on corporate taxes.
Yeah, that's right. We have until November 15th to file the 2019. That was extended by 6 months due to COVID.
Okay.
So we are not.
And Mr. Kelly probably knows all those details a lot better than I just wanted to make sure we're paraphrasing.
But yeah,
where we are.
it's a matter of independence. The CPA has to be independent that reviews your financial statements.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
If he keeps the books, theoretically, he's not independent, but there are situations where he can be.
Okay.
Okay. So
But it's great that they're going to help us, Bob, by the way. It's great that the other firm is going to help us find someone, because that's not easy to do.
All right. Good.
that's what I was just going to say, is that our current accountant has offered to give us names of 3 firms that will be willing to do the reviews and audit for us.
Lisa, can you just remind me what the KPM stands for?
Kevin P. Martin.
Yeah, Kevin P. Martin. They're in
Kevin P.
Braintree.
Martin a long time ago.
Well, there is Junior. His son is running the company now. His name is also Kevin. So there's nothing that we need to vote on for that. Does anybody have anything else?
So I guess where I was heading is our current CPA is Barry McQuarrie, just trying to
Right.
evidence of the transparency here. Barry McQuarrie, I think you said they're located in Braintree, and he is our current CPA for ACAM.
Yep.
And they're KPM, so they can't audit or review our financial statements according to their internal board of ethics. So
Okay.
So I don't see Barry's address on here. I believe it's 10 Forbes Road in Braintree, and it is for Hugh Martin and Associates that he works for. So we're good with that?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the treasurer's report. So that is you, Bob Malloy.
Okay. So I'll begin my update with sharing. I have shared documents with the board of directors summarizing some things that are relative for ACAM business. I presume all of you have those documents. Not only did I email them, I think they were delivered to make sure everybody got a hard copy. I think what we're trying to do for the sake of these meetings and moving forward, add a sense of formality and make sure that we're kind of documenting or recording where things are at with the treasurer report. So having said that, I just want to skim through some of the highlights, but I have asked and proposed that these documents that have been prepared, maybe for consideration, Mr. Kelly as the secretary might consider including these as amendments to our minutes. And that's all within guidelines and agreement by the board, so be it. Having said that, just some of the details for our viewers and to assure that everybody's paying attention. Abington Cam has a single banking account that is locally held at Abington Savings Bank. As of August 20th, and I used that date only so I had enough time to sufficiently review the details. We have a checking balance of $457,818.93. From henceforth, I will be rounding those values. We have a certificate of deposit, which is an 18-month CD. That is earning roughly 2%. The date of that maturity is December 26th of 2020. That is currently at and valued for $306,655. Again, I rounded for those reading the notes. We have a second certificate of deposit, which is an 18-month CD, also earning approximately 2%. The date of that maturity is 12/26/2020. Its value is $307,700, rounded values, okay? Our total account summary as of August 20th in Abington Bank is $1,072,173. Again, I know that's a bit more formal than we've had in the past, but maybe this is a good baseline moving forward. As a notable, we started our year, or just ended our last year of 12/31/2019 with a balance of $1,007,231. As such, we are at present, as of August 20th, $64,942 ahead financially. Some highlights of that I can get to. I just want to point out some of the highlights. We are earning that 2%, for the math out there, that's about, roughly speaking, we'll earn about $12,000 in interest, which is great on those CDs. So that was a good move, and Lisa did that, and they'll come to fruition in December. As that time approaches, we as a board should decide what our next move might be for that cash, or identify if we'll roll to another CD. Jessica and Mr. Kelly have taken on an initiative of putting our paperwork from the accounting side of the house with their experience and knowledge of QuickBooks. And they are preparing what we'll term statement of activities. Those can be annual or to date. So it's worth noting, as of July, based on Mrs. Johnson and Mr. Kelly's bookkeeping and trending, if you will, of our expenses as of July and as a portion of our statement of activity reflect $152,429 were spent as of July. So just crossing all those bridges of exactness, if you will, for numbers. Another section in the document that again will be shared for those that wish to read these details. There is a new practice that is now sorted out. That new practice is such that our Verizon and Comcast quarterly payments of 2019 were delivered directly to ACAM, or Abington Cam, for deposit, with the exception of the November Comcast payment, which went into the Abington Enterprise Fund, as was voted at the town meeting, which was in compliance with the Mass State Law directive to move towards an enterprise fund processing. Since that time, or since that November, and since the meeting, the enterprise fund has been used by Verizon and Comcast for all of our 2020 quarterly payments. We have received 3 from Verizon and 3 from Comcast for 2020. Abington Cam, as of June 2020, now has worked out a system such that we receive notification of deposits issued to the enterprise fund. So Comcast notifies Abington Cam, and Verizon notifies Abington Cam. And this is a nice way to make sure that we understand what the activities are for the enterprise fund and what has been deposited on behalf of Abington Cam. I say it's worth adding. Scott Lambiase, our town manager, has been very helpful to try to put those things in place, and Lisa has worked with him to get those details sorted out. So the next element is related to the enterprise fund. So with meetings, including Scott Lambiase, we've tried to work out mechanisms in order to submit vouchers for the expenses of Abington Cam. And that is for the reimbursement of those expenses from the enterprise fund. And that would be withdrawn against the Town of Abington Enterprise Fund, earlier mentioned, that now is getting populated by the funds from Verizon and Comcast. Noteworthy, the first voucher was submitted for reimbursement in February. That submission was for $33,584.84. If you guys can tolerate that extra decimal there. The most recent voucher for reimbursement was for $138,408, and that was submitted in July. Those, in each cases, have been reimbursed to Abington Cam and have been deposited. The most recent deposited July 24th. These vouchers, as submitted at that time in July, had consumed the deposits that were on hand on the enterprise fund, just so you guys are aware. So it's not like we can just approach the enterprise fund with vouchers. We want to be timely to not over demand or oversubscribe to the funds that are in the enterprise fund. The funds were reimbursed into the Abington Cam checking account at Abington Bank. It is the intention of the board, and I might be speaking out of turn, but I know Lisa and I have discussed this. It is the intention, and I believe you'd all support that, we will ultimately move towards quarterly voucher submittals for reimbursement. We're just trying to see how this system works. We don't want to be a burden to the town or the clerk, but we want to make sure we're doing it in the right way and backfilling the cash that's being expended from our checking account. Abington Cam, or ACAM, will continue to maintain a bank checking account quantity or cash balance to, I'm using the term float. Mr. Kelly might want to use a different word, but we have to float the note of the anticipated quarterly expenditures until we
Meet
are.
our cash flow needs.
So we can meet the cash flow needs.
There you
We
go.
have the cash on hand. It's not an undue burden. We can continue to do that
Yeah.
at this time. As the treasurer, I just want to point out a few topics that are kind of headlines as the treasurer in this role. Abington Cam completed all past year tax filings, and some of this may come up later. I just want to get it in the treasurer report. As we speak, we are 100% compliant with our tax filings and up to date with the IRS. 2019 tax year is under review, as earlier mentioned. That will be due for filing November 15th. Abington Cam, another bullet, was granted official 501c3 IRS federal tax exempt status on July 22nd. You guys read the report, you could save a lot of the details of the notes, but if we can release these to the public, it'll be easier to just process that. Some of the benefits of the 501c3 status is we will be tax exempt for sales tax, and we have certificates on file for those, and Lisa keeps those at the studio, which is reasonable. Couple things under review, kind of the task of the board to work out, and members of the board will be involved in working out a plan for the town of Abington. The enterprise fund does have a fee assessed from the town of Abington to process those funds. It has been, I think, Abington FinCom, a financial committee, proposed or set forth that $6,915 would be an annual one-time handling fee for the 2020 cash flows. We'll have to sort out when that will be assessed and make sure we're timing that with our reimbursement to not drain the fund or oversubscribe to it. Another exciting topic is.
Bob, can I ask a
Go ahead,
question? Is that a percentage fee or is that a fixed fee yearly that is going to come out of this?
I believe it is fixed at this time, but based on a percentage.
Okay, so it's going to change year to year then.
Potentially, yep.
Okay.
And I say potentially because as a percentage, it's based on the forecasted
Exactly.
income from Verizon and Comcast. Sorry, the exciting news was that Plymouth County has some government opportunity and funding available. And, Lisa could probably speak to the details of it, but from a treasurer perspective, Abington Cam would want to get or take advantage of the opportunity to have some reimbursements from the COVID pandemic expenses that Abington Cam has incurred to keep business running, and potentially, special events and special requirements have expenses. And it seems that does fall into the category that is supported by, I believe it's called the Plymouth County CARES Act. So I look forward to seeing what we can submit and maybe benefit from taking advantage of that federal program that Plymouth County is administering. And Lisa would have more insight on that. I concluded my treasurer report with the following bright spot, and that's literally how it's labeled. We were pleasantly surprised with a recent check that we received. National Grid had issued a rebate in the amount of $19,590. Lisa chased that back with National Grid and figured out that it was a rebate for the LED lighting that was installed at the studio. The check was a reissue from a check originally issued in 2017. So this is a nice perk that none of us really were aware of, but it would have come in earlier had it been processed. But pleasant surprise, $19,590 was deposited into our business checking account. That deposit took place on March 25th, 2020. So that is my treasurer report summation. If I could indulge you guys, take a breath, but I did also submit a document which, from a treasurer perspective, and I know this is a bit formal, but maybe for consideration to the annual report, this document might be considered because it is speaking to the cable provider source of income for Verizon and Comcast that is coming to Abington Cam. With some assistance of other board members, I've compiled a graphical representation of what money has come in and at what pace annually. We know that there was some money that came in bumping up our 2019 numbers, but if you allocate that amount to the intended annual years, we can see where things are trending with receipts annually from our cable providers. I think the broad stroke is that we are observing a bit of a decrease. And I think the big takeaway here is Abington Cam is funded by those that subscribe to television from our cable providers. We're not funded by those that buy just internet access or phone access. So this phenomena, which society is processing, households nationwide, including our town, are cutting the cord, referring to their cable access of television. We, Abington Cam, has been a pretty good citizen of putting our content not just on channels 13, 14, and 15 of Comcast or the Verizon channels, the public education and government channels, but we also have been posting on our social media sites. We're being broadcast on YouTube today. I think Kevin has done a good job of giving us a YouTube presence and giving all of the citizens of Abington access to that content. And by the way, beyond Abington. So what is interesting is that cutting up the cord at a rate of about 2% decreasing our revenues each year is something we're going to have to watch and trend. I think we have a nice cushion in the bank to sustain us, but it's something we need to keep an eye on to see where it trends long term. I think we have peaked, and the graph shows this if someone browses our documents, but the peak was in 2017 with just about 300,000 coming into our studio from Comcast and Verizon. Some of those monies, again, may have been recovered in 2019, but allocations in 2017 were near 300,000. For 2020, although we've already received $206,689, with the other quarter pending based on the average of 2 and 3 quarters, we are projected to get approximately $275,000 in 2020. In 2019, we collected $200 and roughly $80,000, $279,831. And just exemplifying that this is a real trend. Prior to that, again, it was about 1.7%. So we're seeing about a 2% decrease annually over the past 4 years. It's not of concern today, but it bears a risk assessment long-term. That's probably enough talk from me, but that document outlines specifically what has come in from Comcast and what has come in from Verizon. That concludes my treasurer report. If anybody has any questions in that material, I'd welcome it.
Lisa, I don't have a question, but I'd like to make a comment.
Sure.
Bob, I think you did a terrific job on this stuff, and I don't know whether there's any way we could put this up on a website so the people could actually read it.
Absolutely.
I do agree with adding that piece to the annual report. The rest of it's terrific, Bob, it really is. It puts a lot of things in perspective. I am new here, and it helped me understand a bunch of things. So, great job, Bob. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Madam Chairman, if
Very
I can
nice
speak
job.
for a moment,
sure.
if I can just make a quick comment. Bob, actually, so you actually stole my thunder on one of my bullets. I was actually going to mention in regards to adding Bob's annual reports to our website, which has been we have been building on, and that definitely can be added.
I mean, the graphs on here are really terrific. I think an ordinary person would understand them real easy.
Right, fellas, thank you for the comments, and it has been a pleasure to process this. It's been tough, but I'm glad we processed it, and I think it is in a format for the public. The documents I've just referenced as the treasurer report, I consider that an element for this meeting. This meeting just happens to be in August. I don't find that to be of significance for the annual 2019 report. I think the document that outlines the income source trending is of consequence and significance for the annual report. As you know, there's a third document that I don't want to go into right now, but that third document is a more summative document on the entirety of 2019 into 2020. I think that's of value to be posted as well, and I have not reviewed that at this time.
Great. And I also hope that your treasury report would be a normal thing of the agenda every month now, or every time we meet.
I agree. I think I tried to be extra formal this time. And maybe I'll be a tough act to follow down the road. We'll see.
We'll grade you.
Okay.
I don't know whether at most meetings I've attended, Madam Chairman, there's been a vote to accept the treasurer's report. I don't know whether we want to do that type of a thing or.
I would like to do that, yeah. So, so Bob Malloy, you reviewed the two, but you did not actually go over the 8/20/2021 again?
Right. So to that extent, just jumping into it, I don't want to mess up the order of the details here, but Lisa, maybe that report is best on the amend approve annual report segment of our agenda. Maybe we just return to it then.
Yeah.
Certainly. Okay, we can do that. So I would entertain a motion to add the treasurer's report.
To accept the treasurer's report.
Yeah, accept the treasurer's report.
Okay.
Yeah, not the bar graph one would be a separate.
Yeah, so the title, the treasurer report, August 25 document, I propose that might be considered as an addendum to the minutes of today's meeting. The treasurer ACAM August 2020 document with the graphics of income trends, that I think should be part of the annual report.
The annual report. Oh, okay. All right. So can we have that in the form of a motion?
So moved.
And
Move to accept the treasurer's report.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor, Bob Malloy,
Aye.
Jessica,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
and myself, aye. And that is in no particular order except the way I see you people on my screen. Okay.
We do it by age, I get to go first.
Okay. So the treasurer's report, August 25, 2020, will be an amendment to the annual report. And the August 2020 bar graph will be a separate item on the
The other way
website.
around. So we're saying August 25 is going into tonight's minutes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The one with the graphics will go into the annual report.
The annual report, other way around. I had that stuck in my head and I can't get over it.
Was
Okay.
that both pages, Bob? Yep.
Could you repeat that, Jessica?
Is that both pages? Because the second one doesn't have like a heading or a continue.
Yeah, I'll add both pages.
And this one too, both. Both of these will. report.
It's the same one.
No, both
We're all
pages.
looking at, the only one that has graphics is going into the annual report.
I didn't staple it together for you, I'm sorry.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Okay, and also, I'd entertain a motion as an amendment to the annual report to attach the financial statement and I don't see it here right now, the activity.
Statement of activities.
The
I
two
think
that
that's a
you
good
gave us.
idea. I think they're titled
We can just refer, we could.
Statement of Financial Position and Statement of Activity, right? Those are the two.
Thank you.
2019, correct?
Yes,
Yeah, December 19. December 31st, 2019.
Yes.
For the annual report segment.
yes. So do we have a motion?
I'll
Anyone?
make the motion.
We have a
Second.
motion. Second by Peter. Bob Malloy,
Aye.
Jessica,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Bob Kelly,
Aye.
and myself, aye. So moved. So the next item on the agenda, pretty much had our 501c3 update. We applied and are sales tax exempt with the state. We got our SG2, so that allowed us to apply to vendors that we usually use. And so far, I've applied and been accepted by Walmart, B&H Photo, Staples. I'm going to apply to Target and Musician's Friend. I just haven't gotten that far yet. And any place else, if anybody has any suggestions, they can apply to those as well. I think we've said everything we need to say about the 501c3. The next item on the agenda is
Lisa, sorry, on the 501c3, could you expound? I know the last time we met, there was some discussion about Abington's property taxes and potential taxing by the town of Abington.
Mhm.
Could you expound upon that?
I had put in a request for extension because we had applied for the 501c3. We sent in the Form 1023 and we hadn't heard back yet. So once we did get the 501c3 determination letter from the IRS, I forwarded that to Yolanta Griffith, the deputy assessor, and her response was that she had sent it to the property tax vendor. And I believe that's all there is to that. We're
Great.
tax exempt back
Thanks for
to
that follow-up.
May of 2015. So I believe that's all we need to know about that. It's my understanding from Yolanta anyway. So as to the COVID reimbursements, so far we have $5,158 in actual receipts for items purchased that we're submitting for. There might be a few more just in the last few days. This was last week or so that I put that number together. And I realized as I sat down here that I have $5,280 in payroll reimbursement, but that is actually only through July 3rd. So there will be probably $1,200 more for a total of about $11,500, $12,000 that so far that we're submitting for reimbursement through Plymouth County Cares. And the payroll part of that is that Matt Nelson is actually a part-time employee with us. He's part-time being 20 hours a week. So Plymouth County Cares will reimburse us for hours over 20 hours that he's worked since the start of the lockdown. And that's where we get it. It's about $6,000, a little more than $6,000 probably for his payroll expenses that we're putting in for. So I will, once I get a final figure, I will send out an email with an update. And it's not final because there will be another request by the town for reimbursement. We get reimbursed through the town because we are a contractor for the town. And they put in for one in the middle of July that I had thought was going to be more toward the first or second week of August. And so I didn't get the 5,000 in receipts in with that one, but I will be sure and put them in with the next one. And Sue Moken was on vacation last week, so I plan to get them into her for what we have as soon as possible. And then there will be another, at least one more submission after that we can put in whatever we have at that point.
Lisa, is that Plymouth County Cares funding initiative have an end timeline, or is it when the funds are exhausted?
When the funds are exhausted. And I know they did say they did one round of checks so far, and they have at least 2 more rounds of checks just until the money is gone. Any other questions? Did I cover that adequately? We good? Okay, the next item on the agenda is our executive director's report. So that is Kevin Tocci.
Hello, everyone. How are we doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Yeah, I think we skipped one.
Oh, did I skip something?
The most important one, Lisa. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, you know why? I wrote all over it. No, a vote to amend and approve the annual report.
Didn't you already do that?
We already did that.
I'm
We
sorry.
didn't approve the annual report,
Yeah,
We
we-
didn't approve it.
but we added the pieces to it. We didn't approve it.
Oh, we didn't actually approve it?
No,
Okay.
we added the pieces, but I guess we should.
8/20/20, because I don't remember doing that. Aren't we adding that to that annual report?
No, this is the annual report that we started discussing in January, and we just added
We added the financial
2
statement
amendments
and Bob stuff. So we haven't
in
really.
the activity.
Right, so I don't mean to interrupt, Lisa, but I think what Jessica is pointing out is we had discussed amending the annual report to include not only your summary that was first in draft in January, so that's one document.
Right.
We want to include the 2019 statement of activity,
Right.
which Mr. Kelly and Mrs.
Mhm.
Johnson included. That's 2 documents. A third document is the 2019 statement of financial position. That's 3 documents. If I got that right, there's a 4th document, which might be the trending that I said had Robert Malloy Treasurer, which was this graphics. That's 4 documents.
Yep.
A 5th document for consideration is the document I shared with the Board of Directors. It is titled at the top 8/20/2020. The description of that was ACAM narrative for 2019 annual report.
That's,
Lisa, you are digitized.
that's what we did in the motion, but we haven't approved the annual report, I guess, technically speaking.
Right. I think Lisa's frozen,
Yeah, it looks like she's frozen.
but Mr. Kelly, I think there's 2 things to do. Discuss or not the 8/20/2020 report, which is that narrative, and decide to approve and include Lisa's January report out of draft status into final status. I think there's 2
So
activities.
as a whole.
Yeah, you want me to add to that first motion that we add approval of the annual report with these documents attached?
I would like that document that Lisa submitted for the clarity of others watching and listening. It was originally discussed in January. It was voted to be accepted in draft status. I think we should finalize that and consider it part of our annual report. The benefit of that is Lisa did a nice job of documenting activities at ACAM, such as meetings and attendees. So I think it's valuable for the activities, perhaps not necessarily the details of what the other document as the narrative might provide with regards to corporate level activities.
Correct.
So I do think that document Lisa submitted in January, I would move that that be voted as final and included in the annual 2019 report, or as the annual 2019 report document.
Is there a second? I guess with Lisa stuck, I don't know who's, I guess the secretary would run the meeting. Any second to that motion?
Second,
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Hey,
second,
Lisa, we hear you, yes.
Lisa back yet? No? All right, so the motion is to approve the annual report that Lisa wrote, the annual draft report for 2019.
I can see myself. We have a motion. We have a second.
Yes, the second was by Mr. Walters.
correct.
There's something wrong with that.
To approve the annual report for 2019.
Mr. Bob Malloy.
Aye.
Is everybody having trouble?
Lisa, we are having a difficult time hearing you.
Yeah, we hear everybody else but you, Lisa.
I don't know
Oh, no, she's back.
why.
Back now.
You did that.
Back?
Yeah, you might have to relocate.
Change that. In my dining room. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Bob Malloy,
Peter second, and Bob Malloy says aye.
aye. Jessica,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye,
Bob Kelly,
Aye.
and myself, aye. So that is all approved.
Yep. With the
So-
attachment.
You good with that?
If I could, if the board would indulge me, for the purposes of those watching the video or the meeting, and ultimately, if we can include this document in our notes, this document I refer to as an ACAM narrative for 2019 for the annual report. I think there were a number of activities that transpired from 2018 into 2019, but all have significance of not only 2019, but 2020 moving forward. I think a large effort was put forth by the board of directors, much of that by Lisa Bezanson, to organize and update and I dare say correct ACAM corporate issues of concern. Some of those items, actually all of them that I list, I just want to put bullet points, and if someone wants to read it at their leisure, so be it. It's already been mentioned in this meeting, ACAM is recorded as a tax exempt organization, that 501c3 status. That is in place, active, and a great box to check off is great. I think for the most part, we had a presumptive 501c3 status, but now that it's formalized, I think everybody should be well aware and well informed that it is formal and we have the documentation of it. I would say another significant piece was there were a number of tax filing years that maybe did not reach the IRS and had to be amended, corrected, or refiled. There's a table in the document which outlines the tax year, the status of that tax year filing, and some comment, if it's applicable, of when it may have been filed or refiled to the IRS. So the table shows 2009 through 2018 as complete. Again, ACAM is, as of now, 100% compliant with tax needs. 2019 is pending. The accountants have all they need from Abington Cam. I think Mr. Kelly, Mrs. Johnson have prepared some additional supporting documents summarizing 2019 expenses and activities. But essentially, we're just waiting for them to finish, and that will be taken care of with the accountants. There were some costs to do these refilings. I know the cost normally would have been incurred in previous years or the year it was filed, but for the benefit of the public, I want them to know that there were some incurred expenses that are billed in 2020 despite the 2012 cost tax year. So 2012, 2013, 2018 were all completed in 2020 and paid in June of 2020. There's also a Form 1023, which is what Lisa worked with the IRS to get that submitted. 1023, again, others are well honed in this, but I think that's basically how we applied for a 501c3 status.
Yes.
Property tax considerations have been mentioned. Perhaps I went into it with too much detail, but essentially that was where we were concerned. Did we have a liability to back pay some property taxes with the town of Abington? That has been resolved. Lisa's followed up with the town. I think we're in a good place there. I think it was Jolanta Breffett, which is town of Abington's deputy assessor. She's all plugged in on where we are with that. I mentioned funding for Abington Cam. The graphs show that in the other document, but essentially, I think contracts get established by the town, funding comes in, and more recently, the enterprise fund is being used to process those funds and getting them out in a reimbursement voucher system.
Yes.
The historical quarterly payments and discovery, you know, I'd be remiss to not mention that there was nearly $290,000 recovered. I purposely pointed out that the money was mishandled, but not misspent nor ever misused. It was simply a case of recovering those funds. Those funds have been recovered. I think the specific amount concluded was $296,864.01. I think it's on page 5, Mr. Kelly. I did have a typo error. I should have put 01, but that penny only cost me my pride. It really no significant impact. It's broken out. About 158,000 were allocated to Verizon check payments that were recovered. About 67,000 were Comcast check payments recovered, and about 72,000 were recovered from the state treasurer. Again, I think that was a great job on Lisa to secure those funds, and they've all been deposited into our Abington savings account. So thank you, Lisa, for doing that runaround to get them all organized. I think the pending topic right now for Joe Public to be aware is earlier mentioned, which was the 2019 had a bit of a surge of income with those recovered monies. The IRS requires nonprofits, corporations with annual revenues greater than 500,000 to have an independent audit. This was mentioned earlier. It's just documented with some detail in this report. But so acknowledging that recovered cash resulted in a large influx of income for 2019, while it was originally intended for the multiple years of 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018, and 2019, we ended up with a lot of money in 2019. So the IRS just wants to understand why it was such a large increase. I think they've been provided all the necessary documentation to explain how it has been recovered. It was an anomaly. It's not something we're expecting annually. 2019, we'll know more by November 15th. I think the town meeting May 2019, for those interested, the town meeting went well. The enterprise fund was established. There was a bit of confusion, if you will, on the chapter of the law that has been resolved with town manager and legal involvement. I think it was scheduled as an E. It needed to be an F. That's just the detailed chapter of line, but everybody's on the same page with the town and Abington Cam, so we're in a good place there. The enterprise fund, by the way, is not an anomaly to Abington Cam. That's being encouraged by all states, all cities and towns in Massachusetts. So we're just kind of, everybody's acting in good faith. We're in a good place with the process of extracting the funds. Let's see here. So this is the conclusion in this document, which I think warrants just, people referencing. With all the above details demonstrating great progress of completed tasks on a large number of fronts, ACAM Corporation is essentially compliant to standard business practice. The ACAM Board of Directors are moving their efforts beyond rectifying corporate matters, and I know I'm not speaking for just myself, but we all look forward to an emphasis of guidance and oversight of Abington Cam activities and needs for 2020 and beyond into the future. So I just wanted to go through some of the highlights. I would welcome, anybody who has access to this documents once they're posted to just kind of get an insight to the many activities that have been going on, which have really, I'll just say, correct or put in compliance Abington Cam Corporation. I would move that this document be added to the annual report for 2019 because I think it provides sufficient evidence of activities that set us in the right direction moving forward.
We have a motion.
I'll motion to add it.
Second,
Do we have a
Jessica?
second?
Second.
Bob, point of order, I included it in the original motion.
Great, okay.
As far as
So we
I
don't have to vote this,
We were voting on the two, that document and the chart and the graphs.
Thank you.
No, we were
Okay,
voting on the graphs.
I thought we were voting on both, so I added that both to the meeting, to the original motion, way back when.
Okay. They're both going in. That's all I'm after.
So I mean, I have another, I have it in the old motion. If that's
Okay.
okay with everybody, or we do a second motion.
That's fine. We made the motion and the second, we might as well continue on. Bob
Okay,
Malloy?
Aye.
motion was Jessica and second by Pete, right?
Yes.
Okay,
So Jessica,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Bob Kelly,
aye.
and myself, aye. So we're twice as short now.
Yeah, really. I guess it must have been a good write-up. We wanted
Yeah.
words in there.
It's excellent, yeah.
Okay, so I cut off Kevin Tarchi. I introduced him, but gonna bring him back, and I would like to read this. I forgot about it until right after I introduced him. And this is from Peter Schaefer, the superintendent of schools, August 19th. He says, "Dear Kevin, I would like to take a moment to thank you for bringing the 2020 Abington High School graduation to the living rooms of many families in the town who could not attend the ceremony in person. The production will memorialize an important day in the lives of our graduating senior class, and for that I am grateful. Please extend my thanks to your crew for the work on behalf of our students and families." And I want to say thank you to Kevin. If you haven't seen it yet, I hope everybody can get a chance to take a peek at the graduation. It was phenomenal. 11 cameras. And so with that, Kevin, if you could give us your executive director's report that I cut you off from.
Yeah, sure. So I'll go over each topic. Has is underlined, and there's 4 pages. We get them printed out, so just in case we change pages, and you'll know what topic we're on. I'll make sure I'll mention what each topic is as we go through it. Starting out with COVID-19. I mean, that's kind of dominated our lives, changed our lives, the pandemic. But I've seen it as an opportunity for our organization to be a source for information in so many different avenues, from specialty programming like the governor's press conference. He's done 70 of them so far, and each one of those have aired on Abington Cam, whether it's on the public channel or on the government channel, so folks can see it. Same with state house updates or committees or any public service announcements, especially if they were geared towards COVID-19. We also kind of did an outreach in regards to some of the things that we became accustomed to prior to COVID-19. If many people sought out religious services, so we made sure that we reached out to local churches, St. Bridget's, Holy Ghost, and United Church of Christ, just to name a few. As of today, we actually taped our 26th church service, which airs every Sunday at a specific time, and folks can also watch it simultaneously on YouTube. As far as in-house programming, we did stuff like community. We've done programs like Community Focus and the Board of Health. Also, community bulletin board slides and social media posts, just to keep people up to speed as to what was going on in regards to how everybody else was being affected by COVID-19. And luckily, I have enough resources to draw on to have conversations with folks, whether it was with Peter Schaefer, Chris Coyle when he was serving as the chairman of the school committee, to you name it. We've had a number of people that we were able to talk with and have conversations with to keep folks to have fresh programming, keep them up to speed as to what was going on. Not to mention there were other communities that were providing content that we would pull down and also share with our viewers. Some of the things in regards to the community bulletin board slides and social media posts promoting COVID-19 tips, information regarding the town offices, whether it's closures or limited hours, especially like the library, or if you would be able to stop by to see the town clerk's office. Board of Health COVID-19 information. We were trying to update that on a regular basis. Plus appreciation slides for public safety, the medical professionals, and grocery store workers. Not to mention the school, which had outreach programs when it came to like food or assistance, or the food bank. We made sure that we would put, if we saw information, if information was shared with us, that was then in turn put up on the channels and also shared to social media. Moving on to the website. The website, we remained active. I met with Steve Culp, who is our web developer. Anybody who doesn't know what our website is, it's abingtoncam.tv. Some of the new things that are on the website at this particular time. We have a program guide. You have two different options. You're not sure as to what you can watch locally. You're able to go to either the home page or there's a tab up top that you can click and go to. Access to the community bulletin boards for public education and government channels. We have multiple options for that. Actually, when you go to the home page, you see the public channel. So any new slides that we may have, those are presented there. Whether you want to know what the weather is or what's happening, those slides are on our home page. Production tabs tied to Abington Cam shows and their YouTube lists. Now there's, whether it's some of the shows that we generated with the student interns, to the summer concerts, to government meetings. You could be able to click on any one of the tabs and be able to go right to the YouTube channel, and they'll be in chronological order from the newest one being at the top and go down to past meetings. Some of the shows that that have been created, those shows will have, whether again it's Abington's Got Talent or Pizza Boys or Community, there'll be a description of what the particular show is, so anybody who's new to programs will be able to get an idea as to what they're going to watch. Social media feeds and updates. That was another thing that's been added on this. So whenever there's new material that we add to Facebook or Twitter, or YouTube, or Instagram, those will be reflected on the website anytime that you go there and you visit. There's also a pull down for the board information, staff info. The bylaws are posted there, as well as we have intern and membership sign-up forms. There is a plan to add a live stream and on-demand option. We'll discuss that later on in my report. An events calendar, and not on your sheets, but also considering the addition of a studio blog to provide regular updates as to what we're doing, and maybe even a newsletter. That's something that I'm hoping to develop in the coming year. Any questions on the first sheet?
Kevin, I'm actually on the website right now.
Say that again?
I'm actually on the website. I can describe it and talking. I'm going through it all with you.
Okay.
The only thing I have a question is, there's the board of directors. Okay, so the bylaws are inside the board of directors. It's not a separate tab.
That is correct. So you click on that and you should be able to see each one of you and your terms.
Yeah.
Okay. And in that first tab, I would envision Bob's annual report going under that tab or going somewhere in that area.
Under the about?
Yes.
Okay, great.
The board's annual report, not just
The
mine.
boards, I know, but you crafted it. You know, it was a collective effort, but you crafted it so well.
Thank you. It sounds like, Mr. Tachi, it sounds as though that's the area where we might even get into a situation where we could create a means of posting approved minutes as they become available.
That's
with
correct.
Mr. Kelly's notes.
Definitely.
That is correct, and I'm open to any suggestions. As always, I'm always looking at our the other access centers and seeing some of the things that they add and what we can possibly borrow or provide for our membership and our residents.
That's great. It looks great.
Mr. Tachi, I'm just curious, is the situation that Steve Culp pays for maintenance, meaning creating tabs, but you or someone else is the instrument of updating the content that is posted on the website? Just want to understand that.
That's a coming conversation. While there's still a few things that we can still add and implement, I am having a conversation with him as to maintenance plans. I believe that he's going to offer 3 different ones, and it'll be open for discussion as to what we feel we may want to start out with and then eventually wean ourselves off of him. But he does offer I believe that the premium plan that he would offer to back up our site, all of our material. He'll do that on a regular basis. The lesser ones would probably be less hands-off, and we would be more, myself and the staff would be more so the ones adding the content and tweaking it as we need to. But he'd always be there as a safety net, so to speak.
Sure.
I've had a great working relationship with Steve, and we've had some great conversations, and he's also been a fantastic when it comes to suggestions, or if I'd have a vision, he'd implement it, which has been great so far. And hopefully, if there are any suggestions, he will be the magician to make it come to fruition as well.
Thank you. I think he's authored some other websites locally with regards to studio websites.
He has, indeed.
Just on the earlier topic, I just want to point out that I think the work you and the other folks assisting you at the studio, it's been hard for all of us and everybody, not just in the town of Abington, but regionally. COVID has kind of isolated a lot of people, and I found myself and others really paying attention to what Abington Cam could either post on the social media or project on the screens, including the recent graduation. It was helpful for me to know that family members could watch that, and thank you for doing that. And I think your team has done a nice job. So thanks for being the glue in a difficult time. Thank you.
Well, I had a lot of help. We'll get to those points in a few minutes as we tick down each topic. So now I move on to student interns. The student interns were not forgotten, and they were a key piece to the whole puzzle. Whether it's regular meetings since April, having discussions, to finding ways. I feel that it was toughest on the interns, knowing that whether it was our graduating seniors or the ones who are taking over their roles, their peer roles, they were still willing to do something even while they were trying to figure out what to do with their schoolwork and to keep themselves busy. And I have to say is that we were able to keep them busy by doing stuff like the ever popular Abington's Got Talent, Wave Wits, created by Cam Kearney, Mamma Mia behind the scenes, and the AHS Class of 2020 Senior Awards Banquet. While there was guidance provided by myself and the staff, the interns I felt that they took a lot of points that was shared with them and were able to implement them or even expand upon it, whether it's creating a promo, which was genius in itself for Abington's Got Talent, or to putting together scenes of, knowing that hours before a production was going to hit the stage, that, we were able to capture the behind the scenes. It was a conversation I had with Emily Christian, which was like, I don't know what to do. And, I know she was kind of she played a role, but she also wanted to do something and stay doing work with the TV studio. If she shot a lot of stuff and was able to put it together and kind of give a nice storyline as to bless you. Not only, you know, the disappointment, but also, you know, share, you know, what goes on behind the scenes of a production. You know, like a docuseries, which was fantastic. The Senior Awards Banquet, the star Ariel Amboy and her talents putting that together. You know, I had the athletic director, Pete Serino, approach me, goes, "Hey, what do you think?" And, you know, both of us were like, you know, Ariel has the chops. She has a vision. She's also the star of Comfort Culinary. It's a little, you know, a vignette that she does. I think she's done like 8 vignettes of that where, you know, she cooks and kind of, she's a little self-deprecating humor about some of the stuff she does when she's putting it together. But at the end, it's, you know, she goes, and it's on to the next episode. So the interns played a big role in at least staying busy and creating new content that we could promote and have them get involved with marketing, especially with Abington's Got Talent, where the host and the 4 judges were able to have conversations with folks, whether it was on the radio or the local newspaper, Abington News, and talk about it and promote it. So they learned a little bit about marketing besides doing production, which I thought was fantastic. So we do have 8 of the 12 student interns who have graduated. Now we do have 4 that are returning. They actually worked this past weekend on the summer concert productions, not only taping the first one that we did with the Horns band, but also the Beatles tribute band. And I think that they had a good time, and it gave them an opportunity to escape the house and be able to get behind a camera and do something. We are having conversations as to what to do. They are a key part to what we're going to do. Again, we're still trying to sort out what's going to happen come, is it September 16th?
Yes.
And I feel that if, you know, where they are the 4 that are returning, anybody who's going to come in, they will play a role in being a peer mentor and helping them to kind of understand what they've been through as they're learning how to operate cameras, how to do editing, how to do storytelling, how to operate a robotic camera at town hall, etc. All the different things that are part of the internship that has been growing over the past few years. And we actually, Matt Lyons and Aaron Johnson helped kind of put together a questionnaire as a group to see if there's any prospective students that want to get involved, and they can have an idea as to if the individuals who are coming in are serious about doing this, or if they're just coming in to hang around. I think anytime that you have somebody who's going to be coming in, you want them to be serious and to be part of the team, that they're going to be pulling their weight as they're doing it. We created an intern email address so they can be able to send their questionnaires in that way. I mentioned earlier about the interns helping with the summer concerts production, but they also helped out with the senior cruise, which featured 11 cameras, and the graduation, which we did, and I'll talk more about that. We moved down to major productions, some of the major productions that we did. I apologize if I miss any, but these are the ones that was the most memorable in my book. The Memorial Day service from the Mount Vernon Cemetery, that was on March 25th. The class of 2020 senior cruise that we did that featured a drone, a couple of eyes in the air. We had cameras stationed at every different point, and we had to find a way to kind of meld it all together as they made the trip around to each one of the schools. It was a fantastic event, and that was actually capped off with a mini graduation or diploma ceremony with 3 of the military students who were not going to be able to attend the August 8th graduation. We actually captured that ceremony, and that's currently airing on our channel. Annual town meeting, live from not only the auditorium, but the gym. Sorry, Bob, you didn't have anybody there to keep you company, but I know you being the assistant town moderator, you were hoping to at least count a few hands. That didn't happen. Maybe in October that can happen. There were logistics to the town meeting, not only to make sure that our feed was getting into the gym, but also helping the moderator be able to see how to have eyes in the gym for that to happen. And again, that took some teching, but we were able to do that. Town election results coverage live from Emerald Hall. I'm not sure if that's ever been done before, but we did it on June 23rd. Folks were able to kind of see that as it happened. It was only 5 minutes, but if they were tuned into our channel, they would have been able to see as the town clerk came out and read the results, and we were able to bring that to our viewers. Abington Black Lives Matter rally and vigil on June 28th. The two Abington Little League, the first two games. First game was the ceremony. They actually reached out to us on July 6th, or prior to that, and we were able to videotape the first couple of games. We were hoping to hear back from them to maybe do the playoffs. And then I mentioned the graduation. That was live on cable and social media. That was the letter that Lisa had mentioned. The interesting thing about graduation was we were asked to pull, I like this analogy, we were asked to pull a rabbit out of the hat. Not just one rabbit, but three. And the three rabbits were going live from a location that we had never gone live from before. That was the front lawn of the middle senior high school. And also put it out on Facebook and YouTube. And the idea was to try to first figure out how to pull the first rabbit out of the hat. Once we did that, everything else kind of fell into place. And thanks to our assistants from Lowell, we were able to rent their broadcast picks and their mobile unit and use it along with their Terra deck. So we were able to have the video go from our cameras instead of running HDMI cables. We were able to have the video go into the switcher and send it back to the studio, and then send it out on YouTube and Facebook, which was fantastic. And I also mentioned the summer concerts. That was fantastic. We were able to, again, do that live. I don't know if anybody had a chance to view it or see it, especially if you're a Beatles fan. I thought they were amazing, and the gentleman who did sound for that was fantastic as well. That was kind of king. Ticking down to the cablecast and programming. Well, since March 2020, Abington Cam has added 463 new programs for 323 hours of original programming. We had remote board and committee meetings during COVID-19, 15 Board of Selectmen's meetings via Zoom to cable, 11 Abington school committee meetings, that was via Zoom. I will say that the July 21st, July 29th, and August 4th meetings were shown live via cable and Facebook. Normally those meetings are taped and shown, but because of the importance of those meetings, we put them out live to two different avenues. Also newly produced ACAM shows include the Community Chat COVID-19 series. I mentioned earlier the Abington's Got Talent, Wavewits, Fun and Fitness with Jen, the St. Bridget's Parish and Holy Ghost Church services, Sarah Mapes Yoga, the town meeting preview show that was produced by Sean Riley, and the town manager's corner with our new town manager, and Bampa's Woodshed, just to name a few. Any questions on that second page?
Not at all.
Okay. Specialty programming. I think mentioning about Abington's Got Talent and Wavewits, that was specialty talent that folks could tune in on a specific day and see new stuff. Same thing with Green Wave Classics. That was a collection of high school sporting events that featured milestones, great performances, and championship moments. That came at the suggestion of Sean Riley. And his wealth of information and the network of people, I'm sure his brother, I think, played a role in it, seeing that he's he's one of the coaches, but he has such a network of folks that he knows and so many students that have been involved. We were able to take the games that we had And some of them we had to reformat. Some of them Sean was kind enough to do openings, do closings, and package those and showcase those as specialty programming on Wednesdays and Saturdays, actually Wednesday nights and Saturday nights. And that, again, gave folks something to look forward to watching and viewing other than the bummer news that we were seeing on what are the numbers, what's going on with COVID-19. Something that was locally done and that we were able to share. Something else that we've been running, Senior Sundays, taking the sporting events from between 2016 to 2020 for the class of 2020 who just graduated, and playing those on Sunday. Again, that was something I had Coach Serino do an opening for, and we would feature games, all different games on the educational channel and share those. I mentioned about the senior awards banquet. I also mentioned about attending town meeting, the procedures for attending it, the tour of the Abington Fire Department, something that I think I teased prior. We've been able to put that together and air that kind of showcases some of the things that, if you went into the fire, the main fire headquarters or station number 2, you see some of the issues. Everybody knows and is aware that one of the great needs that the town has right at this moment for capital projects is the fire department. So this kind of helps cap off a program that we did with the fire department, showcasing that they've outgrown their space and had many members of the fire department take part in kind of showcasing, saying, look, this is what we do when we're parking, and this is what the space looks like. I also mentioned already the Mamma Mia behind the scenes docuseries, and we also, knowing that candidates could not get out and knock on doors, do meet and greets, we also made sure we did an Abington Selectman candidates forum via Zoom. Looking at social media and analytics, Bob, I think, had mentioned it earlier and gave kudos to the team as far as the stuff that we do. We created a new Instagram account. Looking at the social media analytics, right now we got 94 followers on Instagram. Our Facebook page is up to 721 likes, 860 followers. Twitter, for some reason, I don't know, it's kind of slow. We're up to about 50 followers. I keep pushing it. I think the one area that we seem to have seen a jump, and my numbers here are off for YouTube because we actually had a handful of likes. We're up to 183 subscribers. The old Abington Cam YouTube channel has a little over 1,000. So we have right now, in the short amount of time, we have a fifth of what the old channel had, the old YouTube channel had, which is pretty good. As far as watch time, the hours since March, 2,100 hours, number of subscribers that we've had since March, 144. Top videos, or the top performing videos, the Abington Black Lives Matter, Pizza Boys at Lynch's, Abington's Got Talent promotional trailer. I told you that trailer was really good, and I think the people really took to it. The Abington Board of Health COVID-19 update, that was early on when folks were looking for information locally. That did well. And finally is Pizza Boys visiting Venus Cafe. Facebook page videos, the most viewers live, that was August 4th. We had 300 plus viewers who watched that school committee meeting and the vote as to whether what direction the school was going to go, and the decision that they were going to give in to DESE, and that did well. Marketing and outreach. I mentioned the community bulletin board slides earlier. Some of the new ones that were created were contact info for downtown departments. We had nothing that was up that if folks wanted to do outreach to departments, there was nothing there. So we created slides for that. Promoting new shows, town events like elections, graduations, and even we have the slides for all our graduating interns. If you tuned into the education channel, if you do now, there's photos of each graduating senior that we made specially for them, and a slide for outreach. If you want to host or produce a show at Abington Cam, you got to slide it for that. And of course, when we hold these meetings, that's up as well. Video promos that we did an absentee ballot promo with the town clerk to help her promote the ballots for folks for the town election. Abington's Got Talent, Wavewits, and the Abington Black Lives Matter rally and visual. And we also did regular interaction and collaboration with Rick and Michelle. Actually, there was one show that Rick actually hosted a community chat show so he can speak with the school superintendent at length. Any comments or questions? Okay. All right, so our next page here comes with a little bit more explanation, and I believe that I provided you with documentation as we kind of go down and discuss. Feel free to raise your hand at any point in time if you have a question. So this is under equipment and tech update. We still continue to have audio issues in the Carter room. We've done multiple tests to check the sound quality and the equipment. We even actually added a mixer in line for additional microphones as needed. We actually have found Matt Nelson and Ethan worked last night, the selectmen's meeting, and it seems as though maybe one of our main problems might be the mixer in town hall. That those particular mixers are the type that will, when you are, that will self-adjust. So if it goes too loud, it'll compress a little bit. If it's too low, it'll boost a little bit. And the speculation right now is that could be a problem. I believe that we've had a conversation, and I think in the 5-year plan, I think there's been a previous conversation about retooling town hall, that Carter room. That should be something that we definitely discuss down the road. And if we are going to retool the Carter room, it might be something that's a little bit more encompassing, where maybe we include the Buckley room or one of the rooms downstairs. So if we wanted to get video feeds of meetings that are going on in there, that we'd be able to capture more than just one meeting from just one room. And we could do it in a more efficient manner than what we are currently doing at this time. Right now, as it stands, we burn a DVD in the Carter room. We do have the wherewithal to capture it in our Cablecast system. Unfortunately, these file size that it captures it's a rather large file that takes time to import it, compress it, and then export it. So usually the more efficient way is to go with the DVD. But again, that's a conversation for another day. So it's something that we should discuss. We are still looking at the signal flow between from the Carter room back to the studio to see if there might be some kind of an inline issue with the audio, because when you go back to regular programming, the audio comes up. But when you have a live event going on in the Carter room, you have to boost your decibels up to almost 50. And that shouldn't be the way. If somebody's at home, they shouldn't have to be on top of their TV to watch it. So we're continuously working to find out what the problem is, and I hope to give you an update at our next meeting. Equipment to consider purchasing. First and foremost, yes.
Kevin, excuse me. Is there? I appreciate your update on the Carter room in particular in the Buckley, but at this time it seems you're in a diagnostic phase, not at a decision of what equipment would be needed or the price to address it. Correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, it is. But it's part of the equipment and tech update, so it's all kind of.
Yeah, where they intersect, I would be curious. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. That's why I got to the top. It says equipment to consider purchasing, so there's a little bit of a buffer there. We were talking earlier about the CARES Act funding, the federal funding there that the county has, and who knows how much there is. Yeah, once the money's gone, it's gone. This I would look to see if we could be able to be reimbursed for this, because I'd like to see us have video on demand and live streaming, especially when we have essential information that we want to get out, and they're able to go to our channels with relative ease. There is an adjustment to the cost. There is a sheet that has been generated. I don't know. I believe Lisa was able to blow that up, or at least increase the size
the one
of it.
that was small, yes. Mass Media Man.
Yeah. For our tech support. So we need there's an update on the hardware, a $1,600 update. So your number of $22,670 and some change is now $24,270. And what this would encompass is having to add inline servers. And what would happen is we would plug. I already had a conversation with Steve Culp. He would be able to. He's already to be able to plug in our live streaming capabilities once we have the hardware in line. Just a matter of having the hardware in line to be able to do that.
Kevin, I'm sorry if I'm embarrassing myself with this question,
Nope.
being in the IT space, but from your expertise, there's Facebook live stream, which people have to go to Facebook or potentially YouTube.
Yes,
This would be going through our website to
It
view
would-
these.
that is correct, and that would be generating unique clicks. We'd be driving people to. I would rather drive people to our website to find information. I would like to see Abington Cam, our website, whatever our network of signal sending out information for them to come to our website. You know what I mean? And maybe that could be a way for us to generate revenue as well. If we're able to drive enough people, maybe we can start thinking about maybe putting banners on there at some point in time to generate revenue, because we are having people, we're driving foot traffic to our website. Again, I know how easy it can be for people to get lost searching for. Let's not forget, we have 2 YouTube channels, and there's been one too many times that folks will go to the old one. We still have material there. We haven't taken it down. We don't have access to it. We have a new one that we've been building upon. I think it's worth, with people who are watching or people who are viewing this, it's easy enough now. If you want to go to our YouTube channel, you want to go to Instagram, you click on the icon, it takes you right there. Instead of you having to go to a browser or type it in, it's easy enough for you to be able to click it. And so, again, I would like for our website to be the hub of information as Abington residents need it.
And sorry, just another clarification for
Yep.
me. Maybe
Yep.
everybody else gets it, but live streaming would mean our website would be able to reflect that which is being broadcast on our channels in the Comcast space, 13, 14, 15.
That is correct. So you would basically put a
Sure.
server. You even put a server on the on the P, the E, and the G, and we would be able to individually. So people be able to click
Watch
in.
TV.
And there was a conversation earlier in regards to, and this is worth noting, that if we do have to find an alternative source of revenue, that if we needed to put a paywall up, this is another avenue as well. Unless somebody is a Comcast or Verizon subscriber, it could be as easy as them having to punch in that they are, a code or prove that they are a subscriber. If not, you want to watch the selectmen's meeting, and you're not somebody who subscribes or you're not a member who pays fees, that's another avenue for us if we needed to generate revenue in the future.
Got it.
All good questions. Any other questions? Okay.
All from cardiology, 1, 2.
Okay, so also I've also put in a request for staff and member ENG field cameras, ENG electronic news gathering, that's the acronym. The current cameras we have 3 of the cameras we have some wear and tear. We've been experiencing some issues. Been working through them, but there's a time we're going to have to send those out. And I see these as being maybe starter cameras for the newer members. And then as folks who are more experienced, I would want to have a newer camera in their hands. That would be an inexpensive camera. And then for the staff to have something that's a little bit more professional, a little bit more quality and professional based. What I presented and you have in your packets is the Canon XF705 4K camera with a price of $7,000 if you round it off, which means if we bought 3 of the cameras, it would come at a cost of $21,000. The idea of using it in 3 is if you wanted to do a 3-camera shootout in the field, you'd have 3 cameras that match. That's the idea behind this. Okay. The Sony's, the PXW7190s. These are great cameras. These are reasonable, and these are cost-efficient cameras. Again, where someone can go out, they can be someone who's a mid-range volunteer, somebody who has chops. You can go out and get a good and be able to shoot good quality video. These come in at $2,748, and to purchase 3 of them, it would be $11,244. I'd also suggest, I would request that we pick 3 tripods. I've given you 2 different versions. Either one of them is a fluid head, which is nice. That's the Cadillac. The other one is comparable. It's a good head. A fluid head is nicer, especially if you're trying to do a nice pan. You want to definitely have a nice head and be able to swivel without any interruption. So I'm seeking 3. I'm seeking 3 and having 3 of one of the other.
It's the fluid head.
Yes. Any questions so far?
Kevin, I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
How many current cameras do we have either in the field, or that you might refer to as field or studio cameras? What is the count of those cameras now?
We have 3 studio cameras. The studio cameras are the ones that are basically for use inside the building. It's studio shoots. We use them in the auditorium. If we wanted to bring them up to the library where we have a fiber optic port, we can do that. They're inside cameras, and they connect through our broadcast pick switcher. Then I believe we have 4 ENG cameras that are usable. We have smaller cameras that were purchased, but those are used by the school whenever they have the journalism class. They use the smaller ones, and that's when they're first getting started in the journalism and digital media classes. We have about 5 of those. Those are inexpensive, but again, those are assessing them and looking at them after the year. We have 5 of them, and some of them have a battery, some of them don't.
Sure. And the other part of my question, and again, it's a techie question, but you would be the man to know.
Yep.
4K seems to be the new recording threshold, which is a pixel density, as I understand it.
That is correct.
So if it's 4K, or maybe some refer to as high def or ultra high def, whatever that is, we don't broadcast on the high def, but the 4K recordings would be visible for viewing on our potential website if it was a live stream, or if you were going to a smart TV and viewing TV on a website, correct?
That is correct. Yeah, we still, you would think that our cable providers would one day give us high def. Some of the older programmings, the aspect ratio 4:3, the little boxes, we all remember that. Nowadays, we all have TVs that are 16:9. We're these days the cameras that we're using, we're shooting in 1080 or 720, more so 1080. But if we're going to put anything out on YouTube, we want it to be higher quality. When we eventually get a high def channel, we want to be able to eventually put, a 4K. Probably by that time we'll have 6K, 8K, 12K. It'll have graduated to a larger, to a better quality. Lisa?
So I just want to add that we're currently working on the Comcast contract renewal, and one of the items on that is that we will get a high def channel.
Right.
They've offered that, so it's very likely that we will.
Right.
Kevin, do any of the current cameras record in 4K? The 7, be it the studio or field or
Yes.
ENG cameras, they do record in 4K?
They do record in 4K, but again, there's been wear and tear on these.
Oh yeah,
Again,
I understand. Yep.
and you want to,
guess
and again,
another-
every couple of years you want to be upgrading your equipment.
Sure.
And you got to think of this: if we're going to look to expand services, you want to be able to, folks walk in and want to be able to, you want to be able to have enough cameras to send folks out to be able to do productions. I mean, that's my goal, is to get as many Abington residents or members to come in and take a camera out and do a program, or go out and shoot the things that they love about their community.
Sure. In a perfect world, if we bought 3 Canon cameras and 3 Sony cameras, and they were all shooting the same event, can you meld all that together? It's not the brand, it's just the 4K quality melds together?
Yeah. Correct. Anything else? I've also added in here going out and shooting video and getting tripods. I wanted to also mention about or request getting some iMac editing computers. The studio currently relies on using the school's computers and software, but does not possess its own desktop computers. And I would request that that you take a look at possibly purchasing these. These also could be used for if anybody wanted to use it to go in and do bookkeeping, if you wanted to check email, board of directors and staff would be able to utilize it. It would have many purposes. If we needed to put Word on it, or if we needed to put any other kind of software on there, we can. But currently the way it is we rely on the school for the use of a handful of licenses. I would prefer to have our own and also offer something that's an alternative. Almost like back in the day when you had VHS and Beta. You want to be able to offer, if somebody wants to edit in Premiere, sure, edit in Premiere. There are aspects of Premiere that are fantastic, but there are things that are in Final Cut that people also like and gravitate to. So that's what I want to offer is the opportunity to have that, and it's a popular application. The iMacs and Final Cut are popular softwares and computers with PEG access. Just something worth noting. Yes, Lisa.
Is it currently 2 of the school's edit stations that we're allowed to use?
I actually asked Rich Bykowski if we could expand that to 4, and he has, but it's on a basis of need. If they need those 2 extra, then we'd have to give them back. But I can't say enough about working with the IT department at the school. Rich Bykowski and his staff have been phenomenal.
So if we did buy these, would we still be able to use those 4 as well?
We would, yes. Basically, we're just expanding. We would provide more opportunity for folks to be able to come in and do editing. And also, what also steers me away from wanting to go with PC-based editing is that Adobe, the geniuses that they are, went away from software-based, where you could go out and buy a disk and upload it to 4 or 5 other computers. Now, as some folks know on here, it's subscription-based. And depending on what you want, it's not necessarily, it's not a la carte. It's, if you want Final Cut, well, it's not going to come with Photoshop. So if you wanted to make some nice graphics in Photoshop, you got to buy that extra, or it's not that easy. So, and it can be as much as $50 a month for it. Now with Final Cut, it's a one-time cost subscription only, and they're constantly updating the software, and it isn't like when you got version 1 and you're like, oh, what do I do? I mean, back in the days when you had the tower for Final Cut, you're like, oh, I have to buy a new computer because, Final Cut's going to cost me $800, and you don't get updates with it. You get updates with this on a regular basis. And there are a couple of add-ons that I suggest, the basic ones, on its compressor, which is needed. So when we want to put a bigger file into our server, we're able to do that, and it's not going to overwhelm or eat up any of our space. So we have plenty of hard drive space, and I'll get to that later on in our conversation. And also motion. That's a way to be able to make graphics or be able to make segues or openings using that software. That would come at a cost of $800 to fit these computers. I would also ask that we get a 4-person wireless audio kit. This is so you'd be able, if you're out in the field, be able to put a lavalier mic or a stick mic in someone's hand and not have to run cords. It's safe and it's efficient. This would come at a cost at $2,953.
Kevin, the iMacs that you're referencing probably located in the studio and you have the space for those, even with the other school-based.
We can, yes, we
I
can.
have-
Good,
Sorry. These are desktop-based. These are not portable units.
they're not, no.
Have you considered the purchase of an iMac or an iMac Pro for the portability purposes of maybe editing that might need to go on outside of the studio hours in light of the COVID situation?
Bob, I'm currently editing on 2 of them right now. One of them is my own. One of them is the studio's. But what you're asking it to do, what I'm offering you is offering us to purchase would be efficient. It would not only provide us with the speed. Now, the 2 that I've suggested us purchasing, both of them are 27-inch. The difference between the 2 is the memory. One is a 64 gigabyte memory. The other is a 128 gigabyte memory. These will have 4 terabyte of solid state drives, which are great drives. But this would be able to let you not only edit, because when you're doing editing, you have rendering that's going on. If you're adding transitions, this is key. If you have a computer, laptops, they're great, but what ends up happening is when you're doing it on a laptop, that the processors are okay. But again, it takes you twice as long to be able to edit something. And I had to deal with that with COVID-19. I would have 2 laptops going at all times. When one was going slow, I'd work on the other. It was back and forth, back and forth. This would give us the opportunity to sit down, do some editing, do it quickly, efficiently, and move on to the next project.
So the desktop versions are a more robust thing to work, a
That is correct.
workstation to work on.
Very robust, yes.
I mean, I don't want to ignore that you just did. You have to use your own equipment, and I think that is something that you might want to consider researching. And I believe that in the COVID situation where we're not fully available to get to the studio and under either the cohorts of our interns, we may need to have the portability. It's not ideal, but it is useful. As you have indicated, you are able to edit. It's not ideal. I think we have to operate in not always the ideal. I like the desktop ideas. I just think that a portable solution may even fold under our Plymouth County consideration.
I can get you numbers on that, and we can discuss that. If you'd be willing to consider both options, fantastic. And maybe, and that was also, you bring up a good point. I don't see why not only the portable solution, but wouldn't purchasing these also be something as a need, or not so much?
Well, if I could have,
Please.
Lisa and I went into the studio to do some, QuickBooks and stuff like that, and there is no computer in the studio that we could use. We had to use Lisa's. So that in and of itself, it was like, you need to purchase at least one computer for the studio for business purposes. And this would be dual business purposes plus. But we need to get something in the studio where we can house all of our scanned receipts, where we can have QuickBooks on there, and everybody on the board has access to it.
Correct.
So if we need to scan documents, I mean, in the perfect world, all of our documents should be on one computer that is backed up.
Yeah, there should be a redundancy.
On my computer, Bob Malloy shouldn't have some on his computer, and Lisa shouldn't have it. They should all be on the studio computer. So when, Jessica Johnson gets hits by a bus, you still have it.
Or cloud-based storage like Google Cloud or something like that. I understand. But I think hardware is the real topic here, that the fact that board members are in the studio and don't have a computer to utilize, I think that is something that might want to be addressed. And I think, Kevin, we'd have to take your advice of what is for example, a laptop type of device that could be used by the students as needed, but should a board member or another adult go in there to have access to a computer, it would be useful.
That's something I can research. If that's now, would there be a preference though? Would you want it PC based, or would you want it? Would you be okay with a Mac?
I'm using a Mac right now. I could use it. I mean, you can put Word on Mac. You can do anything, go online on Mac, and then you can scan on Mac.
I think Mac would standardize what each of these potentially would, like the same model of software on each of them. And I mean, it's not the same glass of 27-inch. It's probably 13 or 15, but I think the standardized would be useful for maintenance.
Well, you would want the 15, usually the smaller ones. And I think actually, what is Aaron's? It's a 16, right?
Yes, I believe it is. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it's a 16. You and I had the conversation about it.
Yes.
And yeah, they're always doing improvements to them, and the 16 is better especially when it comes to video editing. The smaller screens are more so for photography. That's just my experience.
How editing goes on this one, because this is a MacBook Pro.
That's what I was thinking, a MacBook Pro type of device.
Yep.
But I don't have the expertise to suggest one. I guess I was curious, back to the live streaming and the servers that would need to come with that. Do
Yes.
we have the rack space in our hardware room at the studio to support those new servers?
Speaking to the engineer, my understanding is that we do.
Oh, good.
That's my understanding. It is worth noting that just for the purpose of, and here's the other thing, it also gives an option and an avenue. Well, everybody here probably lives in Abington. I do not reside in Abington. It also gives me an opportunity to be able to view the channels from afar. And if I could put in the plug for the summer concert folks, they have a lot of fans who watch out of town, and if they're able to kind of watch it, that they've got a tremendous group of folks who were actually making comments during the live concert on Sunday, who weren't in Abington. So something to note. And I think I failed to mention in regards to the two different Macs, the 27-inch with the 64 gigabyte memory comes in at $5,400, and the one with the 28 gigabyte memory, the no glass, comes in at $7,600. And I believe because of the doubling of the memory is where your cost is incurred.
So in the parentheses, you have like 10,798, 16.
So that depends on if we bought 2 or 3.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so 2 would be, so for the 5,400, it would be $11,000. Well, it'd be $10,800 if I rounded it off, as opposed to if we bought 3, it would be $16,197.
Yeah, but the memory is everything. That's how much you can have open at once.
That's correct. Yep.
So you definitely would want to go.
Yes.
In the video with something higher.
Yes.
64 just wouldn't cut it.
And the other thing is, and as we get we see more advancement when it comes to video and video quality. You want speed, you want space. And again, I think I mentioned it. You get a 4 terabyte solid state drive, and then that's kind of key. I mean, we wouldn't necessarily want anybody storing anything on it, but it would be good if we wanted to back things up or store things on it. And just to touch upon storage space, we do have 2 Synology drives that we barely scratched the surface. I think one is 40 terabytes and the other one might be 50. And we have plenty of space on those. So we are regularly backing up our programs. If for some reason our cablecast system went offline and we had a major issue, or they had to come in and replace a part, and for some reason our hard drive got erased, and I think that's like an 18 terabyte drive, we would have our stuff all backed up. And we try to back that up on a regular basis.
That's good to know.
Okay.
Kevin, if you had a preference, I guess, you wrote 2 or 3, but it's not clear to me if you're asking for 4 based on the pricing, or are you asking for 2 of one and 1 of the other? I'm just trying to, I know you could ask for the world, but in light of probably a consideration of maybe a laptop also, do we gradually go in a path of just a suggestion? You know these better than I, but would it be worth buying potentially 1 or 2 of the 27-inch 128 gigs and a laptop pretty robust,
Yep.
and then revisit down the road as memory continues to fall? Maybe in a few months we visit again.
That would be perfect. That would actually work. But again, what I provide you here are options. If the board didn't feel comfortable with us spending, $22,000 on 3 of these computers and felt safer buying 2 of them, or wanted to go with the lesser of the 2 models. Again, it's the, I would prefer the best quality and the best for our membership to be able to come in and edit on. But also being a little bit conservative as well and offering an alternative. Instead of just saying, here, this is what I think you should purchase, I'm offering alternatives.
So Kevin,
Yes.
I just wanted to say that I was surprised to see that you didn't ask for any laptops here because I didn't know until just recently that you and Matt were using your personal laptops. And I feel like that you're aging your personal equipment and that the studio should buy laptops for your outside use.
Well, we currently have 1 working studio laptop that we work on. That it's kind of we all alternate with the productions and the stuff that we do on. The second one is it's something that I'm actually going to bring to Apple and have them take a look at as we're having issues with it. But again, it's part of the job. With me, it's I'm here to do my job, whether it's with my tools or the ACAM's tools.
But you use them every day virtually,
That's
don't you?
correct. Yes.
Now, you should have one that ACAM provides. That's what your job, that's the corporation.
I am not an expert. I would have to rely on Kevin's expertise on the video on demand server, the quote from mass media. With regards to, as far as a preference goes, I think it makes sense to buy new cameras. The quantity, that's for the board entirety to discuss.
Yep.
But to the computer point, I would be supportive of 2 of the 128 gigabyte machines. And I know that could have the potential of a cost of somewhere near $15,200. But I would ask if Kevin could configure potentially 2 iMac Pros.
Sure.
That we could look at what that cost might be, and then we revisit down the road. And that, I don't mean to put that on indefinitely, but maybe something, even a few months from now, we visit, could we accommodate yet another workstation? Because people know that these CPUs continue to improve with Moore's Law. So
That is correct. Yes. I see no issue with it. I think that's an excellent suggestion, and I would ask the board to consider the rest of the board to consider it.
And the iMac Pro is going to run anywhere between 66 and 7,600 for one,
That's
with
correct.
memory and what you need in it.
Right. Yeah. So just so everybody knows, so if we did do the 128 gigabyte, that would also, do not forget also that we would need to add the Final Cut software. Yeah.
Yes.
That would come in cost. But I believe that because we're a nonprofit, we wouldn't have to worry about paying the taxes on it. And I could also check in to see if there might be an educational discount behind that as well.
I'm sure they probably do.
So I'm not sure how you want to, Madam Chairman, I don't know how you want to, if you want to take a vote on these, or if there's a conversation for our next meeting.
Lisa, as part of that discussion, before you move to that, I do think we ought to consider what the portability brings to the table for the COVID Plymouth CARES Act. I think that warrants at least the review of, does it fold into potential of some assistance from the Plymouth County Act?
We should be able to get those reimbursed, yes.
Right, and seeing that we can't utilize our studio to its fullest capacity at this particular time because of COVID, that we have to turn to this method.
Yes.
Okay.
Kevin, it's related to the hardware, but more importantly, it's related to your entirety of update. And that is, have you had conversations with Dr. Schaefer regarding the interns in the cohorts that are assigned to interns? Will they have ability to be in our studio? And if so, is it singularly on their cohort days and not on the other days?
I believe that my correspondence with Peter was that it's kind of on us. Right now we have 4 interns. That's it, 4. We're hoping to grow that and have more. But it's a matter of, again, I have a COVID-19 plan that we'll look to have the high school and the middle school approve. And Peter says, once both of those principals approve it, then we're a go.
Do we have a plan to recruit new interns since all 4 are seniors this year? So you're
We
not.
do. That is an ongoing discussion with I know at least one of them that you know. There's an ongoing conversation. We meet weekly to discuss this. And what's not lost on me is here we're coming into a school year knowing that one of their programs that they do is kind of a cornerstone of the school newspaper. You know, we've already had
Lisa?
Huh?
Lisa,
Yes.
can I make a suggestion that we take a vote on the equipment? Because I think we beat it to death by now. And my suggestion is to buy the 6 cameras, 3 tripods, 2 of the 27 iMac 128 gigs, and authorize him to get 2 Mac laptops. And because I don't mean to be, but we're into this now 2 hours.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
If I may, does that also, Peter, does that also include the on-demand and the wireless kits too?
I'm sorry, I wouldn't include,
Do we have a total cost for all of these? Because, I mean, we have individuals, but a total for everything?
I added up quickly, I was around 106,000.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
I'm still working on my abacus, I'm sorry.
For 106,000 for
Would be
the
the-
6 new field cameras.
I just ran it quick on a calculator. I don't know whether it's,
Is that,
30 for the cameras, 3 for the tripods, 22 for the 27 inch iMacs, right? That's 50. Plus the 2.
That would be
audio? What about the Huddle Sports video package?
3 iMacs.
Oh, I thought we were just talking about.
For 2 iMacs.
That's up for consideration as well. If I can just give a quick explanation. Just real quick, the school currently has, they subscribe to the Huddle package. What's going to happen is there's going to be a camera mounted in the gym, and we'll be able to take that footage and put it on our channel. We would split the cost with the school, and I believe I have 2 different prices there. I believe it's we split 4,000 and 8,000.
well, it's 4,000 our part.
Right, we split. Whatever the cost is per, we split.
So if it's 4,500 here, then we split that with the school.
That is correct. Yep.
Now, what has the school decided?
Well, they came to me and asked me about it.
So they're good with either one.
Yes.
So we want to know what we will do. And
Yes,
that's
if we-
every year?
Say that again.
That's every year.
Well, so the first year it's 4,500, then it increases the next year.
And then what
I
happens the 3rd year?
Well, we're just in this for the first 2 years. It goes every 2 years.
Okay.
All right. So we would have to revisit this.
All right.
Peter, in your motion, were you including the 3 video servers at the top of the second page? The 24,000? You said 3 cameras. Are you starting at the cameras?
Yeah, I had started at the cameras.
Because there's 3 video servers, which were.
Oh, okay. But
24.
it still only gets me like 70 or 80.
That was the very first thing we went up from Mass Media Man. That's 2,270.
Then he added $1,600 for some cables or something.
Hardware.
It was 24,270.
Yep.
Yes.
Correct.
That's right, yeah.
And so then he wants the 6 cameras. 3.
Yeah, Peter motioned the 3 and 3, and the tripods.
Right.
I didn't get how many of the iMacs you motioned.
We're
2
doing
of the 27-inch 128 gigabyte. The 15,198
You did
plus the Final Cut
Yeah, 2 for desktop and 2 Mac Pros.
and 2 Mac Pros,
So
yeah.
4 Final Cut.
Right. 4 softwares and in total 4 computers, 2 laptops and 2 of the 128 gigabytes.
Yeah, the wireless units.
And the MacBook Pros are gonna run around 14 for 2.
No, you sure?
I don't think they're that much. I thought they were about 5.
Yeah, I think the MacBook Pros, you might between 3,000 and 4,000 per.
Not with the memory you need. Have you checked them out?
No.
I just bought one in April.
And how much you pay for it?
I'm not gonna tell you what it was, but I know they go.
Oh, I saw yours. My apologies.
I know they go for a while.
All right, message me
You're
later.
talking about between 55 and 65, at least for that kind of memory.
Even if the mobile, yeah, but you know, Jessica, even if it's the one of the mobile ones, even if it's half that, again, they're not for everyday use. It's for as we need them, until we get to the pandemic.
I'm seeing a MacBook Pro 16-inch from 2,400. I have no doubt that's at 64 gigabytes, but I think 64 gigabytes on the portable units would be sufficient.
Yeah.
But I think the right direction would be maybe Kevin could share what he discovers with Lisa, and she could broadcast that out to all the directors to finalize their thoughts on that.
Yeah.
But it's 2 MacBook Pros
Okay.
and the associated software. Kevin, I do think there's benefit in using the education site for pricing. I think it's justifiable.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second it.
And roll call vote. So then Jessica,
Aye.
Peter,
I,
Bob Kelly,
Aye.
Bob Malloy,
Aye.
Lisa, aye.
Hey, for the record, is this the largest expenditure the ACAM has made in approximately 2 years, 3 years?
Yes. Since the studio build, the studio cost us almost $500,000 for everything they put into it over mostly in 2017, a little bit in 2018.
But we are gonna attempt to see if we can recoup that some of the funding via the county's COVID-19 funds. Right?
Yes, COVID, the laptops
Yeah.
and the software for them.
Yeah, and the $24,000 for the server.
The server and the field cameras.
Yep.
I got a little under 90,000 quickly on the calculator here, without the Mac Pro laptops.
Okay.
90,000.
Pro, MacBook Pro.
Thank you, Bob.
And what did we say about the huddle?
Thought we included that, no?
Did we include that? That half of the huddle?
Yeah, I thought we did. I don't know whether
Awesome.
I misinterpreted Peter's.
Peter, you're okay.
I believe it was in,
Okay.
I included it.
because somebody mentioned it, and I,
Yep, I did.
Do we pay and get reimbursed from the school, or does the school pay and we reimburse the school? How's that work?
I can get you more details on that. I would think that they would pay it and then they would bill us. Almost like they do with the lease and the interns. But I can get clarification for you.
Okay, Kevin, you have some miscellaneous things down here?
Can you-
Broadcast, studio switcher.
And what else?
ACAM digital storage and Synology drives.
Yeah, I think I mentioned the digital. I just want to give you an update on that. We do have, so I got a price from Russ. So we had these, the mix of the switcher that we have in the studio is fantastic, but you never know when it's going to go out. We have a warranty that actually ran out on it. I'm actually waiting on a price, but I think that the warranty renewal, actually the renewal ran out May of 2019. The warranty is important if we have any kind of issues with, with the software, the hardware. Anything that's in line, they'll cover it. And I believe that I'll have to get you the number because I've been waiting for Russ to get back to me. But he had earlier told me that it'd be around 2,500 just for the warranty update.
So can I just say that that is something that you would consider a cost of doing business, isn't it? It's something that every studio carries. It's just that ours expired and we didn't renew.
Right.
So
That's
I
just,
think we should vote on it, but I would suggest that usually it's not something that we would even need to discuss. It's a cost of doing business, and it would just be paid and renewed every year.
yes.
So can we have a motion to accept?
We need a motion to accept.
A motion to accept that we will pay for the warranty extension.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second that.
Okay, so Jessica,
Either one of us.
is that an aye?
Yeah.
We need a roll call. Peter?
Yes.
Yes. Bob Kelly,
Yep. Yes.
Bob Malloy,
Yes.
and Lisa, aye.
Thank you.
So the other thing on the agenda
Wait, one more.
is,
Kevin has one more thing. COVID-19 plan.
oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
If we're gonna start having everybody in the studio when school starts, if you're gonna start bringing people in and out and stuff like that, as far as interns and stuff, you need to have the plan in place.
Right. And like I said, I actually have a plan that I was shared with by Peter and felt as though what the school actually has is something that basically could be an umbrella for us as well.
Okay.
But it's just a matter of me having the conversation. I mentioned it earlier. It's just a matter of having a conversation with the two principals and everybody being on board, and then vote of the board as to reopening the studio.
Okay, great.
Okay. Lisa?
Okay, we're good. Okay, so the next item on the agenda, Kevin has asked that to withdraw his request to hire a new employee, and he's asked that instead we promote Matt Nelson as his access operations coordinator, and Kevin is going to speak to that.
Well, because of, COVID-19, again, we're living in a different world. Since our last meeting, a lot has changed. A lot changed. And a lot of us are doing things a lot differently than we did in January and in February. And there were times that I had to actually have assistance to be able to provide a lot of things that I had discussed earlier in my executive director's report. Matt Nelson, who's a part-time, he's one of three part-timers that we have. He was the one that I could rely on and had to press him into full-time duties. And this is a guy who's more than just someone who videotapes events and edits, and he does a little light editing. This is someone who assisted with the setup of remote meetings, town meeting, the logistics behind it, graduation, the town election results, the senior cruise, the summer concerts this weekend. It's a long list. One of the projects that I tasked him with was the Green Wave Classics project, where he had to actually take more than 30 games and reformat them and be able to package them up and put them back in the server. He was able to do that without any problem. Again, the idea was he was pressed into service because of COVID-19, because of the need, because the lack of assistance or the lack of being able to utilize some of the help that we've received from our interns. Also, this is someone who had to participate with me when we did the weekly selectmen's meeting that had to go live to cable, the weekly church services that we did. That's a two-person job. Most people might have just went in with a camera and took the ambient sound. We tried doing that the first time. People were like, oh, what the heck is this? So it was a full production where there was a camera person and someone who did audio. And I can't tell you, we actually got a letter from somebody who was thrilled that they were able to watch their church services from home. And because they were an older resident who could not go out and go to church services because it was susceptible to catching COVID-19. And even the principal, the high school principal's secretary, who actually walked up to me and Matt one day, and was like, I love watching. Sorry. I lost my voice. Oh, my apologies. Oh. She told us how much she loved watching these meetings, watching these church services. She's somebody who goes to St. Bridget's, but she's able to watch them from home like she's at a church service. And many more remote events he was able to assist to be a part of, getting acclimated to the Cablecast system and the flow, our workflow for it, assisting with updating and creating bulletin board slides, having the technical aptitude to be able to set up, break down, and troubleshoot when there's an issue with a production. There's always a chance of having, when you're out in the field, having audio or video issues, and he has that ability to be able to do that. And this is somebody who many people, who are in this industry, have accrued skills in an ever-changing industry, and it usually 10 years plus. This is somebody who he works well with the interns as a mentor, understands our workflow, and is a versatile person who has multiple skill sets and is a true professional. Again, not just anybody, but this is somebody who is a professional. This is what we're trying to set our standard when we're going to be working with the public, and if we're going to look to expand our services, whether it's for productions, training, or community outreach. I have to tell you, there's too many times that I've been on a production where I'm the only capable technician. There's nothing better than having somebody who's a capable technician that you're able to kind of talk back and forth and expedite the problem that fast. And if you're talking about outreach and doing sources, you want to have a qualified staff to provide that and help to generate more content, because that's what we're about, is providing information to our viewers, to our membership. He's worked 40 hours a week since April, but he's been doing this as a temporary situation, and they've never asked him to work more than 40 hours because that would incur overtime and more issues. Now, if he was to become a salaried employee, if he was to be promoted, this is a person who'd have a vested interest in the studio, would work more than 40 hours, and would get a pay that commensurates with his experience. I hope you would consider promoting that, or at least having the discussion.
So we
So
have,
Kevin, you used the term promoting. What is his current job? He's a part-timer in our system. I believe there are 3 total: Matt,
Ethan
Tachi, and Paul Watson.
That's
So each of them are part-timers, hourly rate, not salaried employees.
correct.
Based on what you've described, essentially, you've been very reliant upon, above all, Matt Nelson to get you through I'm going to call it a lonely time, but you've had some assistance, but he's been there to get you through when we've had a lot of restrictions and staffing considerations, right? That's what you've described.
That's what I described. Again, I've been able to do more by having that extra additional person who has the capabilities and the wherewithal. I'm not gonna. You would think working from home, you'd work less, but I'm the type of guy who I'm up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and there were many times in April and May and June that I'd work until 10 or 11 o'clock at night, turning stuff around, creating stuff, because that's my job. That's what I love doing, and that's what I like doing for this community. I want to see this community have the best that it can be. And knowing that the staff, and I think I've sent you information in regards to what other studios have. There are other studios that, I mean, if you look around the South Shore, Hanover and East Bridgewater are very similar, and they have a minimum of 3 full-timers. We have 1, me. I was fortunate, and I think it was because of the pandemic, to discover that Matt was a guy who had not only these significant abilities, but that he could build upon them. And yeah, was I able to rely on him from time to time more than I needed to? Sure, but that's what you should be able. My job is to, as I need to, take my staff and delegate to them so I can be able to do more. That's my job, is to delegate and have people to delegate to. You're talking about part-timers. I have 3 part-timers. There's been times, you know, if we're talking about the students are coming back, one too many times, you know, late last year and earlier in the year, where I was the only one where the students would come down, they'd work on stuff, and they'd want to stay a certain amount of time. And if there was something that needed to be shot, I couldn't leave the studio because I had a responsibility to those students. If there was a meeting, I had a hope, I had a body to go over and cover it, or I had somebody who was capable of going over and you know, working the robotics over at town hall or fixing any issues that were over there. So I was fortunate, and I can say that gratefully that I was lucky that I had Matt from time to time to be able to help me get through a lot of these, and a lot of the successes that I outlined in my report. He was a key part. He was one of the, you know, the team members who was there a majority of the time. Was Ethan there sometimes? Yeah. Was Paul there sometimes? Yeah. But I leaned more so on Matt.
Kevin, I don't think there's any question that you need some help. I'm not sure the answer is to hire a full-time position right now, but I think maybe we could add his hours, make him work 40, allow him to work 40 hours a week, let's say 6 months, and then look at what's going on. That's such an unusual time with COVID and everything. We don't know what's going to happen. And if we did establish the position, I personally like to see it advertised, and, you know, you go out and interview a whole bunch of people and not, to me, this seems like a knee-jerk reaction. Maybe he's a great guy and you love him, but personally, I'd like to see it increase his hours to help you and look at it in 6 months.
Maybe the board could consider, I don't think we're in a position to hire a second full-time staff member salary that is going to be, you know, we would be responsible for committing to the potential employer responsibilities such as insurance costs and things of that nature. But in the same breath, I think there's an opportunity to look at what the salary rate, let me rephrase that, the hourly rate that Matt is receiving as compared to the others, and perhaps we visit as a board and in some level of confidence, not on the Zoom session, but perhaps we modify his hourly rate to get us through a period of time. I'm not prepared to say that is 6 months, 9 months, or even 1 month. I think there are some decisions that are coming from not only the Abington School Committee, but the MIAA, I think it's mid-September, because, you know, government meetings are a constant. School performances are a question mark. Athletic events are a question mark. Graduation event was a question mark right up until you guys did it. And by the way, you did a great job. Town parades, not likely anytime soon. So for the number of things that are a question mark, and I don't want to claim that this is a fixed amount of time because it's unfolding in front of us, but I think, you know, not sooner than, you know, September, when we have more insight from the school running and operations, I don't feel we should commit as a corporation to a full-time staffer and the benefits that come with that. But I do think this board should discuss perhaps changing the hourly rate Matt is paid in light of the contributions he's making. Because he is paid just like the other 2 fellas right now. But I believe, and as Kevin described, he has been instrumental in keeping Abington Cam running for Kevin. And I think we want to be fair to Matt, sending the right message. This may all work out fine. We just have to do it at the right time. That's my opinion.
So I would agree with you. I would agree with you, Bob. That would be my feeling too.
Do you have an hourly rate in mind?
I do, but I won't put it on Zoom for everybody.
Well, how would you like to address that? Then?
Well, if you want to text everybody and we can exchange it that way, I just don't think we can or should share the hourly rate that our staff members are getting.
So can we do that by an email though the board tomorrow?
I can share with the group what the hourly rate is, not on this forum, but I can share with everybody, and perhaps there could be that discussion by email to make this happen. I don't want to be outside the steps of Robert's Rules of Orders here.
Well, in light of COVID, we are definitely allowed to vote via email.
I don't think this is I think the issue is we have to authorize the executive director to do something. We don't have to decide on the pay. It's up to him, I would think. You give him a range and let him decide. And also, I really think he needs some more hours to help Kevin. But I think our job is to define a range. And, you can define a range of like $16 to $28 or whatever. And then let the executive director make that choice. That's what his job is. He hires and fires the employees, not the directors. So I think that you should give him that flexibility.
To date, Mr. Kelly, we've not had a lot of experience, but to date, the board of directors have set the hourly rate, but it has been under the suggestion of Mr. Tachi as our executive director, what that might be. But we have to find that rate.
Okay. Well, I'm used to seeing you give the director a flexibility,
Yeah, I think long-term, we also need to define an overall budget for the director to utilize. But
Right.
just as we get to that, we're not there today.
Yes.
Okay. Well, would you object to giving him a range to hire someone or to increase somebody's hours or?
I would definitely agree to that.
If
For the board's consideration, as he is currently an hourly paid employee, are we going to put in a restriction of not to exceed 40 hours a week so that the math you work out for the hourly compensation takes that into consideration? Just for fun, if it was $16 an hour and someone goes over 40, I think that's a stretch to all of a sudden become 24 hours at time and a half. So
No, I agree. You limit it to 40.
it's said that it won't exceed 40, which by the way, has been a challenge, but Kevin has managed that with Mr. Nelson so far
Yeah.
per week. But I do think we ought
I would agree
to
with that.
set a number with Kevin's guidance of what that hourly rate could be.
Right now,
No,
a
By email.
range
The email.
by email.
Yep.
So,
It-
do we have a motion?
We've already
That-
mentioned that he can increase his hours, correct? At will? We've already done that before and voted on that?
Well, I'll make a
No.
motion that we increase his hours to not more than 40.
Okay.
So that help the motion, help things move along.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, so Jessica? Is that an aye? Jessica?
Aye, yes.
Peter?
Aye.
Bob Kelly?
All right.
Bob Malloy?
I,
And Lisa, aye. So motion approved to increase Matt Nelson's hours to not more than 40. And then, so are we having a motion to take an email vote tomorrow of the range? Unless,
Is that how it works?
if this is okay, as ultimately, if we as a group can decide and define a new hourly rate, I can share on our email threads that as directors, we share documents. I can share with all of you what his hourly rate is. And then perhaps we could take a suggestion from Mr. Tachi, and then maybe this group could vote on what that amount could be.
by email tomorrow.
Kevin, would you mind if I made a motion that would the range be between 16 and 28?
That's fine. Yes,
And then we can have some information, go back and forth on an email,
sure.
I will
Define-
second that.
define it closer. Would that be okay if I'd like to make the motion that the range be between $16 an hour and 28.
I
And
will
that's why we
second
can-
that
We can
motion.
have emails, conversation tomorrow and maybe refine it. At least people will know roughly where we're at. We're not at a $300 an hour position here.
No,
So I'll make that
definitely not.
motion.
Okay, all those in favor now, Jessica?
Did we get a second? I didn't get it if we did.
Yes, I seconded.
Okay, thank you.
Jessica,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Bob Kelly,
Yes.
Bob Malloy,
Aye.
and Lisa, I. So we will discuss that and pick a salary rate tomorrow by email.
So if I may ask the board, so where do we stand in regards to the full-time? When will we revisit adding a full-time staff member? What is the will? Because while it's great we're increasing Mr. Nelson's his salary, or it was increasing his hourly rate, he's somebody who doesn't have health insurance.
Yeah, but
And
isn't he able to get health insurance through the state?
to the health connector,
Yes.
is that something that we can assist him with? Is that something that the board would just, would at
That's-
least,
The corporation actually pays part of once they get it.
So you
It's,
get billed for it in your unemployment report.
yes.
Right.
You pay the first $750 of it, and then that's all that they require for everybody who's on a health connector.
So the corporation pays
We're under-
$750?
We're under 50 employees and under 11 actually. It's not required to offer it until we get a budget that we can afford.
I am not familiar with the laws around this.
I am.
As the treasurer, I am not. I mean, if we're going to jump into spending that much money to support someone on the other health connector, you know, we're that much closer to making a commitment. So I want to be careful of what Abington is committing to. I am quite comfortable increasing his hourly rate to get him through this indecisive time because we don't know what our commitment long-term will be. But,
Bob.
you know, I don't
Wait,
know the details of the health connector.
Something? If he goes to Health Connector and if he doesn't get insurance through us, he is entitled to go through Health Connector. We have no say in that. So
As a part-timer, he is entitled?
yeah, anybody is if they don't have health insurance through their corporation. They have to pay for it. They have to pay for it, not us.
I thought you said we would have to pay $750.
But what happens as he's an employee of us, when you go and do your unemployment, you'll have to pay $750 a year. That's it for the whole year. So you pay so much a quarter. That's an employee expense that you have to pay.
The studio pays per quarter, is that what you mean?
Yeah, up to $750 a year. That's it. So if somebody gets health insurance through the Health Connector, the studio will be required to pay $750 a year for that person. That's $750 a year. That's it. Not a quarter, a year. And they'll take it out by quarterly until we pay it by his wage.
So do we need a motion to approve payment of the Health Connector?
No, you have to pay it.
You
There's
have to pay that. That's the law.
We have to.
the law.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we don't need
Need a motion for that. So if Matt needs health,
Okay,
doesn't have it, he has the option to go to the Health Connector and get the health insurance in the interim until we come up with whatever, decision we're thinking about.
okay. So one thing that I forgot, I lost sight of in all this is that I would like to make whatever pay amount we finalize to be retroactive. The Plymouth County Cares will pay for the part of that that's over the 28 hours a week as well. Can we have a motion? Any discussion?
Well, guys, I got to share that there's about 1,000 hours that you're talking about.
Actually, you know what I did? I looked at that and it's about really 305 hours.
370.
Well, that wasn't until July, so,
Yeah.
for another 6 weeks since then, but
Might be 450.
450 hours, because it would be the top half, anything over 20 hours, we could get reimbursed through COVID, Plymouth County Cares.
Right,
So
so
it would
the
be
math
only
you're
the
getting
top
to,
half
Lisa, I
of
just
that.
want to clarify the math. If I said it was 1,000 hours because of, just for fun, 25 weeks of 40 hours a week, you're saying it's only half of that because that's
Half.
only after 20 hours, which is how you got to about 400, 500.
Right.
And you're saying this retroactive would be accounting for how much of that? The 400 hours that counts
Oh, right.
towards the COVID or counts towards everything? Because
Right.
I'm reluctant to make a salary adjustment counting for 1,000 hours.
No, the first 20 hours the studio would pay for, and then anything over 20 hours we could get reimbursed through the Plymouth County Cares.
Now, I'm concerned because we're relying a lot on that Plymouth County Cares, and do we know how much funding they have left?
They get a lot.
Like $70 million.
No, it's less than that, but they have a significant amount.
Yeah.
And it's,
Abington's getting a total of 1.6. They got 905 million.
I think it's a difficult decision to make when we don't know what the number will be it responsible from Abington Cam Studio or responsible as a member of Plymouth County at this time.
You know, at this time, I think we should make the adjustment going forward. And if the other things filter out and we get some extra money, we can always award someone a bonus for a well-done service in the past.
Sure.
And that would be after things settle down and we know what's going on. I mean, that would be my recommendation.
All right, do we have a motion or any other comments on that? Okay.
I asked when could we have the discussion again? Is it a matter of we wait until next meeting and have a discussion, or is it a matter we take it meeting by meeting? Because I would not be asking for additional help if I didn't see it as being a long-term solution to add services, to add content, and for it to be something that's going to benefit the community overall. And again, the concern is losing somebody. Again, there are many people out there who are looking for work. It just so happens that we have somebody right now who understands, who by happenstance was able to understand our systems, our workflow, what we do, and is already trained in many areas where if we bring somebody else in, it's gonna probably take 6 to 8 months to get them up to speed unless they already have competent skill sets to match. And again, that's a lottery, you know what I mean? It's a crapshoot. So that's why I'm more wanting to have something more definitive and also be, again, and I think I mentioned it previously, I want us to be the best studio that we can. But, us not having a qualified professional staff and having people, and we're customer service. Folks want to come in. I'm the only guy who's providing customer service, and I get a line of people. You want to be able to at least have folks in the ranks who can be able to assist people as they need it for whatever they want. So I'm hoping that we can have a conversation in the near future, whether it's to promote, whether it's to advertise the job. If that's what the will of the board is, I'm okay with that. But I want to make sure that we're comparable to what other studios are doing. And I think I gave you that information, that many of the studios around us have a minimum of 3 full-timers. And they put those people to work in different aspects. There's so many aspects to my job that I don't sit here and tell you them, but there's so many different things that I'm doing, that I could be better utilized if I had more assistance. That's all I have to say.
I think what I earlier mentioned is I don't think we're going to have a better understanding of what the school activities and in turn the demands will be upon Aiken, because they are very integrated. They're not the only source of demands for you, Kevin. I understand that.
Right.
But I think we won't know much until at least mid-September anyway, at the earliest. but you're right. You know, sooner or later, we're going to have to come back and keep talking about this. I think it maybe should be recorded as an ongoing agenda item. Where are we with the demands and needs and expectations of Abington Cam staff?
Okay. Well, I appreciate you listening and at least us having the discussion.
I just want to say I totally agree with Kevin, because him being the only full-timer, in my opinion, does not work. You need 2 people at least, if not 3. My 2 cents.
So as I've said before, comparable studios do have one full-time employee for every 100,000 of revenues they take in, and we're at about 275,000. So that would give us 2 3/4 employees, and we've never been fully staffed, and that is the reason we have so much money in it.
Correct?
I'm sorry?
Historically, we've only ever had one full-time, correct?
That's right. That's right. And that is, no comparable studio only has one full-time employee. They have 2, 3, and they take in, some take in less than we do and still have 3 full-time employees.
Because it's not all about the money in the bank. It's about serving the citizens of Abington.
We're all about service. That we need the staff to be able to provide the service.
You also have to have the budget to withstand it. I mean, granted, I know we have that extra money in the bank, but we're still just getting a grip on our whole budget. I mean, I'm pretty new. Bob Kelly's pretty new.
Right.
And we just want to make sure the budget is going to be able to sustain 2 full-time employees. And it's just going to take some time. We just got involved. We're just looking at all the numbers. I mean, I haven't even gone through all the numbers to really get down and say, okay, this is exactly what we're going to do. This is what our expenses are every year. Our capital improvements are here. I mean, I know we have that extra money in the bank, but in 10 or 20 years from now, is that extra money going to be there? Spending it $100,000? We just spent $100,000 like that.
But we'll plan accordingly, Jessica. We'll have, again, we've actually made, you know, a move in that direction tonight by buying the video server. So when it comes time that we need to put up a paywall for folks who don't have Comcast or Verizon, that we're going to be able to generate our own revenue.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just, I mean, and I have my ears to the ground. I'm always attending Mass Access. As a matter of fact, and I think I might share it with everybody, Mass Access actually just had a conference, not a conference, but they actually had a seminar last week that talked about exactly what you're talking about, being able to generate revenue, to be a for-profit when our funds dry up. And I'd be willing to share that. I can actually edit it down because the earlier part was about hybrid meetings, but I'd be willing to share that with everybody.
Just also for the notes though, Kevin, we have supported you for the needs of the studio. We have not assigned a budget, but I think what's coming due is the 2019, the 2020. I think we're going to have to do an analysis. You know, we can't have 5 more part-time. It's just obvious, right? It's common sense. We're not going to have 5 more part-timers banging out 20 hours a week in addition to 40 hours from Matt. Like, it's just reasonable to say we have to define what the cost of these employees are.
That is correct.
We haven't done that yet.
Right.
Yeah.
We need the cost analysis.
We're working towards that, and then you'll have your budget, and you'll have your salary budget, and then you can do with that as you see fit, because you are the director.
Okay.
Yep.
But we have to just iron that out, and we just haven't done that yet.
Okay.
So it's coming, but it's, you know, might take a little bit longer.
Okay. Well, again, I thank everybody for at least having the conversation. I can't say enough. If my, you know, my work and what I do, my integrity is everything. And, you know, I would not necessarily put a stamp on an individual if I didn't believe in them and their, so, I mean, that's the reason why I put this forth as far as the promotion. But also the betterment of the studio, that's what's important. But I've said enough tonight.
Well, hopefully this is a little bit that might, you know, just give them a little.
We got to incentivize Matt. We're just trying to incentivize everybody to stay interested.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
So we're good with that. So the final thing on the agenda, general business items not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance. Happens to be that a member emailed me and asked about the annual meeting coming up and the director's slate. And until now, I've been assuming that our slate would be the Bob Kelly's open seat, so it would be Bob Kelly. I'm not sure. Do we need any discussion around that? Is there? I mean, we need to take applications, but is there any question that our slate is Bob Kelly?
Bob Kelly, you rerunning?
Well, I would suggest that we, like as the selectmen did, because they postponed the voting, that we postpone the annual meeting to a later date, and that the current officers and directors serve in the same capacity until then. I think
That later date could be next June, Bob. I don't know if that is a wise.
I know.
So I think we might have to make some kind of decision.
It's tough to have a public meeting or a shareholders meeting or subscribers meeting on Zoom, you know?
Well, we will be putting the annual report as we voted on it on the website. We haven't discussed any bylaw changes. That would be one thing. There are only two things, from my understanding, there are only two things that the members vote on at the annual meeting, and that is bylaw changes, which we have none so far, and the re-election of the open seat, which is
Right.
your seat, Bob.
Yeah. And
So you serve in that seat until you are re-elected to it anyway.
yeah, right. But I mean, and then we will have to if we have an election, how do the people vote for my seat is what I'm saying. I don't know how that happens.
Mm-hmm. So
You're appointed
Kevin,
by the selectmen. Jessica's appointed by the school committee. My seat has to be voted upon by the
by the
subscribers.
members.
I don't know how you do that. That's why I'm saying I think the best thing to do is to put it off until things straighten out. And then we have an annual meeting with the subscribers and they can vote whoever they want. But if you're having a nominating committee, I will serve again. Yes, that's not the issue. But to me, the issue is how do they vote that position in. I
Can we
don't
do
know
a
how to do
mail-in
it.
vote?
Pardon me?
Can't we do a mail-in vote just like they're doing for the president?
That's Trump, right?
We should send out an email and have them respond to it. We can certainly do that because I already have the email list of members.
Okay. Well, maybe they have a suggestion, but the problem I would have with it is I don't mind running again. But I don't know how they vote for me. And if they can't figure it out, I'm just suggesting that we stay the way we are until we figure that out. As the selectmen did with the election, they all stayed on afterwards.
Do we want to meet again next month and maybe have this discussion?
Well, Bob Malloy, when did you say the MIAA meeting? Are you still
I believe they have a meeting this evening. Maybe they've completed their discussion. And then those are subgroups. And then there's a announcement due, I think it is September 16th, I think, is when they
September 16th.
want to come out with policy, in particular related to fall sports.
So we would know more after, well, September 16th is the opening of school as well. So we would know more about school and fall sports and.
Would we be able to
After
have
that, right.
a meeting in the school? Like in the cafeteria? No, not enough.
Oh, no. No, it's my understanding we can't do that.
Well, you can't have an inside meeting for more than what, 10 people now anyways.
Right.
Right, the governor's directive is 10 people per 1,000 square feet and not more than 25 indoors.
25, okay.
25 indoors. Yeah.
Well, maybe if we meet again in September, at the very least, we can assess whatever the governor's guidance is. But I do think we have a challenge. I think other interested members of Abington Cam's community should, speak up if they have relevant points they want to make sure they put forth for October's usually scheduled October meeting.
Or if somebody else wants to run for the seat too, you know, besides Bob, you never know. You have to put that
Yeah,
out.
well, we need to take applications, but the director's slate would be Bob.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it, right? Maybe we should have a meeting in September and things might be a little more crystal clear, but I don't know.
Can we have at least a Zoom meeting penciled in for the week of September 16th? Maybe it's a 7th. I know it's going to be busy with going back to school, but maybe it's worth having it that week. You pick a night and see if we can make it happen.
I would like to do at least the following week so that we have time to round up all the information from MIAA and
Sure.
The school
Be
committee,
supportive.
at least
That'd be the 22nd.
that week or
Tuesday would be,
the
the
week.
Tuesday seems to work for all of us. The 22nd is the Tuesday after,
As long as it's the 22nd and not the 15th.
yeah,
Okay.
22nd.
Oh, definitely not before the 16th.
Okay.
So does that work for everybody if we schedule another remote meeting for September 22nd at 6 p.m.?
Yeah, works for me.
Yep.
Direct meeting. So we need a motion for that?
Move to adjourn. Move to have the meeting September 22nd, next Zoom meeting.
A second.
Remotely at 6
Remotely,
p.m.
Zoom.
Okay. So Peter,
Yeah?
aye. Bob Kelly,
Yes.
Bob Malloy,
Aye.
Jessica,
Aye.
and Lisa, aye. So I think we're done. Motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second, that motion.
We need roll call, but all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye. And Bob Malloy?
Aye.
Everybody. Okay.